Yep. Right now. Peace. Yeah, we about to get it started in 1 second, fam. Give me 1 second. Just getting all my T's and everything set up. Hope everybody had an amazing day or a start to your day. You know, my day started around noon to 4, so I got time every morning to give y'all these teachings. Please subscribe to our temple page. So give me 1 second. Yep, we good. Let me play this little intro, this little. Let me see what it play. Let me see what this little intro play. Listen to this real fast. I don't own the rights to this. You know how Facebook be tripping, Instagram be tripping sometimes, but check it out.
Yeah, she saw them. I'm not a hunter, but I'm told. She called Kareem. He went down and seen it. I went on the patio. In places like in the Arctic, where indigenous people sometimes might hunt a wolf. They'll take a Lebanese blade and they'll put blood on the blade and they'll melt the ice and stick the handle in the ice so that only the blade is protruding. And that a wolf will smell the blood and wants to eat. And it'll come and lick the blade, trying to eat. And what happens is when the wolf licks the blade, of course, he cuts his tongue and he bleeds and he thinks he's really having a fit and he drinks and he licks and of course he's making his own blood and he kills himself. That's what humans did to us with crack cocaine. You got these young brothers out there thinking that they're getting something that they're going to make a living with. They're getting something they can buy a car like the white people have cars. Why can't they have a car? They're getting something that they can get a piece of gold. The white people have gold. Why can't I have gold? They're getting something to get a house. White people have a house. Why can't I have a house? And they actually think that it's something that's bringing resources to them, but they're killing themselves just like the wolf who's licking the blade and they're slowly dying without notice. That's what's happening to the community. You with me on that? That's exactly and precisely what happens to the community. And instead of blaming the hunter who put the damn handles and the blades in the ice for the wolf, then what happens is the wolf gets blamed for trying to live. That's what happens in our community. You don't blame the person, the victim, you blame the oppressor. Imperialism, white power is the enemy. Was the enemy when it first came to Africa, snatched up the first African, brought us here against our will, is the enemy today. That's the thing that we have to understand.
Now, that's just Dead President's Wolf intro. Some of it I'm with, some of it is not, because I don't believe in no supremacy. Like I said, I don't believe in no supremacy. Like, I listen to music, I like music, I get the good out of everything that's good, and I throw the rest away. For me, as an educator, as a scholar, I don't believe in no type of supremacy. No one has supremacy over me. no principality, no individual. So when the phrase was used, white supremacy, I don't even use that in my vernacular. That's not even in my language, supremacy. Because then you have to explain what white supremacy consists of. So we're going to have some topics today. We're going to talk about white by law. We're going to talk about a little bit of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. And before we do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about, that's the true meaning of the Moorish fez. Later today, when I get back, we have biblical studies. I have biblical studies with a couple ladies that I know that's going to be joining me on my other social media, because I have about 3 things going on. I have my GCU log up with a couple students that I mentor to keep everything separate and professional. And I'm going to have a couple people later that I meet in life that really is interested in studying the scriptures. They heard me speaking and invited me to their church to speak and illuminate to the youth. And I feel honored. And I tell all my brothers and sisters, isn't it ironic that your brother get invited, no disrespect, to European churches to speak? This is the psychosis in what I'll be telling my brothers and sisters. How do I get introduced and invited to to European churches and European Masonic houses to teach what I'm teaching here freely to my brothers and sisters and all true light seekers, and I don't get invited to the misnomered black churches? I show up just like this. I talk just like this. If anybody seen my speakings, they like, yeah, I speak just like this. I've never been invited to no misnomered black church, but I'll be invited to all the plethoras of, people like to say, the white churches. And I tell them, for me going to GCU, graduating, getting a degree in biblical history and linguistics and dispensations, most of those professors, alumni, are Scottish Rite Masons. How am I able to speak at their synagogues? That's why I tell my brothers and sisters we're lost. But hey, who am I? Who am I? I'm gonna give a little intro of one of the books that I gathered. And divinely prepared. When I say I gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared, that means the wisdom comes from inspiration and gathering. So I'm gonna give a little info of our fez, and clear up a lot of fugazi. A lot of the information that people hold from you, I've written it and gathered it, compiled it in small little manuals. All the books that I've gathered and compiled, I've put them in small little manuals, because I know the average brother attention span sometimes is only 20 minutes. So I put things in small, catalogs. So I just want to give a little introduction of the Moorish fez. I would love if you purchase my book. I give people deals, all the time, because I'm the source. I print, I buy my books. Anytime I have inspiration, I put it in writing. Anytime I've done it when I was in academia, cleared up a lot of biblical history, a lot of Quranic history, a lot of world history pertaining to a nationality from a lawful perspective. And I've got standing ovations in academia. Every time. So as I continue to tell my brothers and sisters, it's only one science, it's only one truth. We can't continue to be physically alive and spiritually dead. And at the same time, talk about reparations. So when I talk about our Moorish fez, I didn't want to bring my white one out because I just got a brand new white fez with the gold tassel. My last one got real filthy. But the white fez I got for my empress, she understands that she's a star of the East. She understands that her pentagram is not turned slightly. I showed that yesterday, how your pentagram is turned slightly from my so-called Eastern stars, not stars of the East. My misnomer black women, that's under the Daughters of American Revolution, but they'll never tell you, but I'm telling you. That's where the marriage license come from. That's where that third-party contract come from. But that's a whole nother conversation. But the esoteric science of the Moorish fairs, gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared by myself, Noble Kari Ibn Hakim Goodman Bey, prepared for publication by my Empress, Mayat Bey, which is my Empress Lashan, by the guiding of his Father God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and falling stages of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his Father God Allah. This is dedicated to the memory of my beloved brother, Akil Jelani Goodman Bey, and my loving parents, Larry and Inez Goodman Bey. But I'll just give a little introduction of the Moorish fairs. I'll sit it right, I'll sit the fairs right here, because I may grab them for reference. The fairs originated, or it came from, the city of Fez in ancient Morocco. The Fez is also known as the Tarbouche. When you see me, I wear so many different type of toppies. I have so many. I have my toppy from that I've got from a lot of my brothers in different African spirituality, Santeria, Orisha. I deal with a lot of other spirits because that's who I am. Or the Persian Sarbouche for head covering, and the Chichia. But the modern fez is made felt, shaped roughly like a canister or tourniqueted cone. They have a cone shape. I'll show those at a later time. Tapering slightly towards the top, where there is a tassel fixed to the middle of the flat top. This sort of fez is often worn by members of the Shriners Fraternal Organization. You see the shrines wearing it, but they won't ever tell you the true history and origin in it, where it come from. The difference is that the fez has 4 circles on top, and it is the custom made with so-called Shriner symbols. Now, when you see a Freemason, you're going to see their fez. It might be slightly different. It may be a little shorter than mine, and their fez may not have circles or so-called breathing holes. Theirs may have pentagrams. Check it out. They adopted the fez for themselves. And we cannot go into the Shriner Fez organization because some of those brothers are also Shriners. And when I say some of us are Shriners, also, I say that for a speaking piece when brothers be around. When I make these statements, it's like did he say what I thought he just said? Yes. What it does is pull everything out, because my degree. A lot of people are Shriners. I'm the shrine. But what we can tell you is that some of us are allowed to wear our fezes 24 hours, 360 days a week. Like I tell brothers when I meet them in life, hey, a lot of times you're not guilty for what you didn't know. There's nothing wrong with brotherhood. But when you meet an individual like myself, that's anointed and consecrated, that's initiated, but haven't took no oath. If you're operating for truth and understanding who you are, you got to rise above, and you got to give all the slave mentality back. The reason is because we inherit the fez from our Moorish forefathers, who were the fez during the seat of power. We are Moors by birth and not an adopted right, because no one can make you a Moor. The last thing we would like to say is that all Moors must remember that Muslims are born and not made. You can't meet no one on the internet talking about they're getting ready to make you a Moor. That's idiotic. A Moor and a Fez supplied a new style of headdress that started to be widely used by the students of a particular school. The Moorish fez became a mark of intelligence and came to be worn all along the northern shores of what today they call Africa. The fez meant that you claim your bloodline and that you were a high evolved noble. The red maroon fez per se symbolizes the supreme pinnacle of applicable wisdom. When I talk about applicable wisdom, just like yesterday when I was talking about the 2 type of spirits, This original form is still worn in certain areas. In Tripoli, Morocco, Tunisia, we wear here in America the misnomer North American Negro. 1826, Sultan Muhammad II of the Ottoman Empire was looking to break with tradition and update the official dress of empire civil service. You see how they try to change things and make them modern? Originally looked at a three-cornered hat of a European descent, but its divan points out that three corners represented the Holy Trinity, and he reconsidered. A shipment of fezzes had recently arrived from Tunisia, so they were selected instead. It was considered the special badge of a Turkish, but remember, when I show you Turkish and all that, they're Moors. I show you this in the Library of Congress. I did it in lectures in academia. Subject and all, even if not a Muslim, were obligated to wear it. Women wore fezzes as well, but the women's were smaller, without tassels. The transition to the fez was resisted for some time, but by the end of the century, Turkey was swept up by Europeanization, that wave, and the fez became a love symbol of nationality. Fez formerly had a monopoly on the manufacture of the hat because it controlled the juice of the berry used to color the fez. This information is known among many Masons. Ask them, particularly the Albion Shriners. See, they know this. However, the discovery of dyes in the 19th century allowed the manufacture spread to France, Germany, Australia. That's why when you see Hitler regiment wearing the fez. That's why when you see King Leopold, when he went to the continent of Africa, he made those Africans wear the fez as part of their uniform. I break this history. This history has been done. No one can argue. Africa was not named after a European. We broke that down. That's the agnomen. We broke all this down a plethora of times from scholarship. So it's nothing to debate. The fez has always been a high distinction in history. The fez was represented only by chiefs and captains who wore the fez. The black fez was worn by the Mufti protectors. So during that time, 1913 to around to 1996, the Moorish Americans used to wear the fez every day. You see a lot here in Arizona where I live in the desert. I choose to wear my turban, my shemag, my kufi, my yarmulke, depending on the temperature and depending on how I feel. Most of the times, you'll see me with my turban on or my shemag, But of course, I wear my fez selectively, especially when the weather change all the time, because that is who I am at all times, and I carry myself in a certain way. Just like if you see a priest, he have his priest collar on, or a Jew have his yarmulke on with his fringes. The same chiefdom I carry myself, A lot of people in history, they try to erase the fez and bring British suit styles, like Camille Ataturk, the leader of the Young Turks, felt the fez was backwards and dressed only in Western nobility, British suits and styles. But when I show y'all ancient books, when I show y'all the Moor on the horse, and you see the so-called European president, the European president is dressed like the Moor. The Moor is showing them. Just like when I talk about the cartographers in history. On August 30th, 1925, he banned the fez in an attempt to punish Turkey into the modern world. This effect was resisted with some fury, to the point that several riots broke out and fezes were seized as illegal contraband. By 1930s, the fez was almost gone in Turkey when one last attempt was made to reintroduce it by a group who planned to overthrow Ataturk or a Turk. This ended in deadly results, with a total of some 9 people shot down in the streets. But the fez has always been a high distinction. In history, the fez was represented only by chiefs and captains who wore this, y'all. I wanted to highlight that. You will see them on the streets, in courts, on the trains, certain job sites. You can give thanks to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And even before our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Deuce Muhammad, Abdul Hamid Solomon. Our Moorish history is so powerful, but we let certain people take it and put it in the wrong perspective, just like on BMF. Like, that was so distasteless to me. Everybody said, well, she said it wasn't, they were just a fascist group and that wasn't Moorish science. No, all of it's twisted. And when you put this and this together, and like it's all ugly. And what do you get? Confusion. When you get confusion, you get what? Wrong outcomes. With confusion, it's a cause and effect. You don't want to be confused. No one should have these good things in this type of light. Because that's what I'm saying. If the science is going to be talked about, let's talk about the science from a great perspective. We don't have to always gravitate to some street drug dealer stuff and mixing the two. And then in the real world, some people take TV for reality. And the image of some actors with the same thing that I wear. So what would an average person get? A person that's driving a police car feel if they watch that and think that's reality? Because that's what a lot of them do, watch these certain things from no disrespect. From no disrespect. Therefore, the Moorish American brothers and sisters, do not hesitate to purchase your genuine fairs. We have them right here, and I'll explain it. And I'll show you how to walk in the right manifestation. Directly made by the Moorish empresses. The same fair that you would get from anywhere else, from these Masonic stores, we have them. Because I know where they get theirs from. Is where I get mine from. And we have them for brothers and sisters and children. And regarding the sisters, the fez was worn by you, all my empresses, with or without the tassel. I'm here to tell you that. In North America, we advocated. I advocated. Therefore, it's a waiting for you. Don't let nobody tell you something is not for you and a whole fez in one context represents you. So somebody gonna tell you that you can't wear something that represents you. That's asinine. And I just told you, you are a star of the East. The white fez with the gold tassel represents you, my empresses. It ain't nothing that I can have that you can't have. The planets won't even align. And they talking all this astrological stuff and then come in the physical when they looking at the heaven and when they looking at the star of the East, they can't even understand the wisdom. Missing it. When I tell people, Moors, do you know that the graduation cap and the fez represents 360 degrees of knowledge? When I heard a brother that called himself some sheik and he older than me, he gonna say, that's crazy. That's trying to put like a circle in a square. And a lot of my members was like, I can't believe people follow this person, because you can put a circle in a square if you know how to use your compass. They both have 360 degrees. You don't know how to pull that out from the circle and square? You don't know how to pull 360 degrees from the circle and square and put them in each other and use your tools in the toolbox to come with that mathematical equation and explain it and show it in a pictorial and a visual. I think you're limited in a certain craft. These are just facts. We're talking about applicable wisdom that can help people, not a whole bunch of old stuff. And who is this? We don't rock with that. We use this for power. We use this to be in control over what? Everything on it that we touch. That's the so-called magic. Not no whole, talk about no old stuff all day. And the tassels represent Sophia. You know what Sophia is in the biblical scriptures, the wisdom that nobody want to talk about. It's in your Bible. You never even took the time to see the wisdom, to see the Holy Spirit, to see the Sophia. That's why I tell people we get caught up in spookism, especially when I talk about the Baphomet. The Baphomet is Tip Hob Abs Abba. That's another metaphoric symbology. But the Sophia in the biblical scripture, your tassel, the wisdom that flows freely and not pinned down. You will see a lot of so-called Masons that say they free. You will see they tassel pinned down. Ask them why they tassel pinned down. Ask them. Just ask them for one time. Why is your tassel pinned down? When earning any form of education pertaining to a degree. Now remember, the hex alpha, the dual trine, is the geometric representation of the Moabite, the Moorish fez. You have to understand this. Even when I show you a so-called pyramid, when you're looking at it up top, when I show you with the right pictorial, with the right tools, you're going to see all the corners. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, You're going to see exactly what I'm saying. And when I say when you have the tools, nothing can be denied. These is tools. The Moabite, the Moorish woman, has given a crown of knowledge to her sons within a span of 9 months in the most illuminated school of the universe, which is her womb. Right? Within those 9 span, that the most illuminated school is her womb. So when we talk about her womb, the fez symbolizes her womb. The supreme mathematics, aka African Mayat magic. 9 to the 9th power of 9. So the fez is the ancient and modern national headdress of the Moabites, aka the Moors. The fez is a brimless headdress, mostly common produced in scarlet red, with an ebony tassel. The red fez is matched by the red field displayed in the Moorish national standard flag. The fez is also produced in black and other colors. I got purple color, I got green, variations indicating other meanings, social orders, or positions. The black fez is the highest degree. It is worn by the muftis, the Moorish United Front towards Islam, enforcement and security. We call ourselves at the BBT, our enforcement is the muftis of Allah. The one who wears it symbolizes that she knows the law in full and is able to defend it, including knowledge of martial arts. We do Wing Chun or sticky hands and boxing. Defense physically and spiritually, linked to the martial arts degree of the black belt. So when you in martial arts, the black belt don't mean nothing but you just ready to learn. Black belt don't mean you master none of that stuff. Black belt, when you get to that degree of a so-called black belt, if you want to call it a black belt, that just means you ready to learn. That's why with me and my brother, we don't wear belts or nothing because there's no reason. The fez is worn as a symbol of the womb. The top of it has a nipple. Let me show you. See that nipple? See that nipple right there? That symbolizes the navel. The strands of the tassels are 360 degrees, as in 360 degrees of knowledge. The tassel is not pinned down. Your tassel is not pinned down, as it is in the so-called secret societies. You see, it's properly. The free-flowing tassel is indicative of one who is born of the womb, endowed with and aspiring to and beyond 360 degrees of knowledge, because you should be aspiring to go beyond 360 degrees of knowledge. And that's what you get here, the keys to go beyond, to save yourself and your family. And we become a nation. That's what this is all about. You navigate upon the earth, and our potential is not limited. Your potential is not pinned down or kept secret. But however, I always say, it's sacred to me, and it should mean something to you. So you got the 4 sets of air holes. If you can see those, I don't know if you can see those real good, but as I turn it, you can see those 4 sets of air holes are equal to the number of the woman or the woman. I like to say 9 and add to 13 the number of times a woman cycle per year, which is in tune with the cycle of the moon. So when I'm talking about this fez that I take dearly, the national headdress of the Asiatic Moorish nation of North, South, and Central, the Al-Moroks, aka Americas, including the adjoining islands, the fez is typically of red with an indigo black fez, right? I just like to reiterate things. The fez is the headdress of the ancient ones. The Moabite, the Moors, also spelled M-U-U-R. It is geometrically formed to represent the eternal zodiac. The body of the fez symbolizes the womb of the cosmos and the womb of the woman, the mother. The 1-inch fanal, which extends out the center of the fez, is the number 1. and the ninth letter receiving a degree regarding the Fez. So hex alpha, the dual triangle, is the geometric representation of the Moabite, the Moorish Fez. The Moabite, the Moorish woman, has given a crown of knowledge to her sons within the span of 9 months in the most illuminated school of the universe, which is her womb. The Fez symbolizes her womb. In the phonetic Moorish alphabet, the I per se, this also symbolizes the navel, the eye per se, the cord extending from the eye. The eye symbolizes the universal what? Umbilical cord of the universal life and represents the oneness of all life. Remember I just talked about yesterday, the oneness, the light, all synonymous if you understand linguistics. It also represents the tie to the source of humanity. When all these people started off talking about the Zodiacus, then they start switching what they're talking about to get you caught up in bull crap, which is the first woman. You hear them, they all started like that to get your attention. I know how a game goes. That's why they can't come to me with that crap. Act like they got some magic, talking semantics. But the circle, the round ball of the tassel, represents the mundane circle or the earth family. The cord wrapped around the tassel strands, it's a cord wrapped around these tassel strands, hold the form of the circle. A red represents the unity of life through the zodiac constitution of humanity. It also represents the cyclical and reciprocal nature of life. So the strands of the tassel represents the 360 degrees of the zodiac. The highest law or red authority in civilization, the zodiac crown of light, the national headdress of the mothers and fathers of the human family, founders of civilization and masters of the cosmos science, 3rd, 33rd, and 360 degree master masons and eastern stars, aka stars of the east. This is part of the hidden truth, which has been buried in the dark corner of the north gate. The Fez symbolize the eternal zodiac. It's also called a tarbouche, a tiara, a corona soul, and other names, which describes its royal status. The wearing of the Fez regarding Masons of clandestine order. Clandestine mean, I'll just put it in this context, wanting the same rights of someone that's really rocking with it or doing something in secrecy. Right? Fez is also the name of the old Moorish capital and city which is located in northeast Morocco. Morocco, Moroccan, and Moors are one and the same pedigree and peoples. American is a dialectical corruption of the name Al-Moroccan, which means descendants of Moroccan, the lack of consciousness of law and history on the part of any so-called Negro, Black, so-called Mason concerning the ancient history of the Americas has stagnated or retarded their ability to see through the veil of their own hoodwinking. That's why do I say it's hoodwinking? Because if I can sit with a European Mason, a Scottish Rite Mason, and they agree with everything I'm saying, and you sit with a misnomer Black Mason that call himself a Prince Hall Mason, and he'll tell you that he's some widow's son, you clearly, somebody is off. And it ain't the European Mason, it's the misnomer Black Mason that'll sit up and say some of the most outlandish stuff. The city of Fez is in Morocco, not Europe. The Fez is the national headdress of the Asiatic Moors. No disrespect, not Albions, not Europeans, not Treladites. Sorry. Only Freemasons wear the Fez by ritual, contrary to the natural dress and culture of the Moors. When people say court, you got to understand language. Everything is a court. What? That's the etymology of court, the linguistics of court is culture. We do have a culture. How? The ish of Moorish. How we dress, how we talk, how we love each other. Our 5 pillars, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We don't go outside ourselves. We ain't here to overthrow no government. None of that stuff. We in the Constitution with all the 20 sections. We teach from a lawful perspective and illuminate what's been a mistake. Understand that when you hear the vernacular, when someone is speaking, especially using a language that's in that specific craft, you have to deal with that. because you can't arbitrarily explain things that's so-called law in that arena. You know, it's just what it is. Moors are honoring our ancient foremothers and fathers when wearing our fez. Who is denying connection to Ruth the Moabitess, and who is not, by way of recognizing or not recognizing of the great philosophies and wisdom found in the halls of learning, masonry? What I'm telling you is all your science. Masonry is a system of disciplined learning. Moors is the pedigree and nationality of the direct descendants of the founders of civilization and the ancient high science, culture, Gnosticism, cosmology, alchemy, geometry, algebra, numerology, astrology, architecture, mathematics, philosophies, etc., and so on, from which Masonry draws its wealth of knowledge. Thus, Masonry is the high culture, the esoteric and Gnostic system of learning Moorish history, science, and culture, literally and factually, which was forced underground and veiled in the allegorical stories, in the mysticism signs, and the symbols. That's why when a person that's a Prince Hall Mason, they won't even tell you the real truth of that mystic name. So when I talk about the word clandestine, is an adjective meaning secret, concealed, sly, underhanded, superstitious, accomplished by improper means or by stealth, as a clandestine plan or act seeking a benefit with fair, just or proper compensation, participation, or input. Synonyms of the word clandestine include hidden, furtive, covert. Clandestine is derived from the Old Moabite Moorish Latin word clandestinus. Many have been mistaken to think that, no disrespect, again, the European, the Albion, the Tralodite, who were the Fez in secret, and the misnomer Negro, are the originators of the Fez. They are aware of the meaning and the purpose of the Fez, as it is worn, and it is the crown worn by those of the Moorish nation, which represents the matriarch. So the Europeans have observed, and no disrespect, and I would say adopted. I wouldn't say just stolen. I would say adopted as well, but you can say stolen if you want to use those words. But I say adopted the crown and the birthrights. As well, they have utilized the science and high culture embodied and represented in wearing of the fez, which is the science of the universe, the workings of nature and natural order. And here it is, your brother is 99 degrees. Everybody know this, and I'm an educator. Why would you want to be part of something that's beneath the degrees that your brother can build and can give to you? We just need to build our own and be okay with building our own and planting our own flag. The same way every other has established, but do it the right way. I'm telling you, this is one of the reasons I profit. This is the reason why I say they live off your virtues, and why some describe them as vampires. I'm talking about lower energy on all levels, family, friends, all that. That should be on the level of what liberation, if we're going to talk about reparations. Many think the feds belong to the Turks. See, but a lot of people, miseducation has led you to misgivings and to a dark and ignorant place of not knowing. Thus, we suffer from a lack of knowledge and argue against each other as to the origins of many historical topics, like including the fez. Because a lot of people say, oh, the fez belong to some Arabs or some Turks. No, without knowing the original Turks are Moors of the Ottoman Empire, the Ottoman Empire being active in the world wars. Remember, I showed y'all that in Thomas Jefferson Quran. I show y'all that they called you a Berber, a pirate. Then if they called you a Berber, then you know that linked to what? Amazigian. And Amazigian were free men. You got to start tracing things, which concedes with the 40s, wherein COINTELPRO charged Moors of the Moorish Science Temple, claiming they were in cahoots with Japan against the United States. Others think the fez was originated and belongs to the, no disrespect, the pale Arabs, not the ancient Arabs with the P, but the modern Arabs with the B of today, without knowing that original Arabs are Moors, and that some sold each other into so-called slavery. while wearing the fez, as they do or attempt today. You know, people do it today. How? The ones on the internet saying they can nationalize you and denationalize you and get you this ID. It's the same thing. You just not thinking about it. It's the same type of slavery. It's the same type of death. It's the same thing. How? Because these people are willingly putting you in a state of subjugation. No different. And they doing it with a fez on and a turban. I'm right here telling you that that's fugazi. And why would you want to do that? This is one of the reasons why our prophet said, this is one of the reasons why I say, be careful, Moors. Some of your own people will put you back into slavery. Research the Federal Depository of New York State in the Handbook of North American Indians, page 290, U.S. government printing off Washington, D.C. So all you got to do is research what Sheik telling you. When I did my studies, when I used to reference things from scholarship, professors used to be like, how do he know this? Because I tell people, because. Research it real fast. Let's see if anybody would anybody get up. Let me see if I can pull it up in my file. I'll read it to you. Hold on. Let's see. I told somebody to get it before, and he was like, "She, what was that?" And I said, "I told you to get my book or write what I said down." You know. Let's see if I can pull it up without pulling up all my documents. Let me see. Because remember now, it's just like a lot of ancient books. If you don't have the originals, a lot of time they try to take certain pages out. But if anybody get it, put it up and you tell me what you get. Did anybody get that reference? If you got that reference, say yes. If you got that reference, because I want you to look it up. I'm gonna give you the stock number and everything, before you can look it up. But I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna give you this stock number once again, because I'm gonna always give you peer-reviewed scholarly research to tell you exactly who you are in history. And no disrespect to my Masonic brothers, you just don't know. You still in the shallow grave. No disrespect. So once again, I'm gonna give you this reference. Research the Federal Depository of the New York State in the Handbook of North America Indians, page 290, U.S. Government Printing Office, Washington, D.C., 20402, stock number 047-000-00351-2, copyright 1979 by Smithsonian Library of Congress, catalog and public data. And tell me what you get. And tell me what you get. See, when your brothers, I say, you get that white man stuff out your head. It's your brother that's been lying to you. Just like Carter G. Woodson told us a long time ago. I'm telling you, it's just facts. Brothers walking around straight up clandestine. European men who wear the fez behind closed doors, clandestine in secret societies where they perform rituals, take oaths to demigods. I just broke this down yesterday if you was in class. I told y'all every morning I'm gonna give you the teachings, and when I come home, I'm gonna give you evening teachings. Just like if you was going to any other organization or any other learning house. That's why I said a workman is due his hire. And we have a full library. This is the only school you need to go to. Because when the brick and mortar happen, it's gonna happen, the vibration is gonna happen, it's gonna be in the city of Flint and St. Louis at the same time. Watch. With the help of all my people. They work hard to keep the light of truth regarding the North Gate, North America, Northwest Amexima, Northwest Africa, closed to the masses, even unto the mothers and fathers of the civilization, who in fact taught them. No disrespect, the European, the Albion, the Trailer, no disrespect to no one, and brought them out of the so-called dark ages during the European Renaissance. You've never been in no dark age. They the ones, they say they were cavemen, they live in caves. You don't have any Neanderthal blood in your bones. And that's science. Tell me research what I'm saying. It's only a certain group of people that have that Neanderthal DNA. And this science, and this is no prejudice. I don't have to argue with the history of Anglo-Saxons. It's no reason for me to do that. There's no reason for me to come and no way. Hold on. Islam, hello? Leave me alone. Bye, woman. Yes, ma'am. Bye. That's my wife. We had a big old cow or somewhere, a bull or a horse outside this morning. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. But they wear it in secrecy. But we were never in no dark ages. We was always in a golden age. This just was not taught in academia. And if anybody looked me up, I graduated from academia. Who else do you want to be teaching you history and biblical history? Someone that's been through the fire, prove who we are in the fire and came out unscathed, and be able to come and introduce the wisdom to you. We have to create our own temple and school because we're not going to be subjugated to slaves in history or spiritual history or whatever you want to call it. We're going to always show you that the closest place to find God, Allah, God, whatever is in the heart, and anything outside yourself is true shirk. That's the science I teach. I'm Tasawwuf, I'm Sufi. All you got to do is ask me. I'm under the triple rose. That's why I get to go in all religious houses. That's why I always say it hurts me, and I hope I don't leave this earth and don't be accepted in the misnomer black churches, and I'm accepted in the European churches, and I go teach and I go lecture, just like Dr. Ben did, just like all other scholars did, because I graduated with a lot of different Europeans from these universities, and I lecture, and most of them their parents are Scottish Rite Masons. Most of them know exactly what I'm talking about. All of them know this, and so when I say I teach people I show people how to graduate from college and show people how to write, I'm just waiting for the day I'm accepted to my brothers and sisters, almost the way that Farrakhan is accepted in the misnomer black churches. That's all I'm saying. What y'all have right here, I'm not compromising for nobody, because I can clear all the so-called religions up, the black stuff, and illuminate them all and say you all tripping when you're using the vernacular of black. But they taught the Masonic orders, the Masons, the science of the universe, the sacred lessons of life and nature, in an effort to civilize them and bring them into cultural societies. The Europeans later created clandestine orders to keep the teachings amongst themselves. Europeans, Albion, Freemasons not only wear the fez in secret, clandestine, they wear the fez. Written atop, you will see Islam, Bay, Muslim, Morocco, to show they are in fact aware of Morocco, the empire, the subordinate kingdom. They are aware and practice Islam and know the true meaning of Muslim. And they are aware of the 5 noble titles of El, Bey, Day, Al, and Ali. These titles were transferred and renamed as the 5 civilized tribes of acceptance during the so-called Indian Agreement. I'm telling you what I know. However, many are aware now that this is not India. The people are indigenous to the land, or natives of the land, indigenes. I'm telling you, indigenes. So when we deal with the white fez, the Daughters of American Revolution, the DAR, because I ain't holding no punches for no one. It's just what it is. The male black and the female black are under the wrong thing, and they already want to talk this freedom stuff. Can't be when secrecy, this is what you took the oath to not speak the truth. That's why I tell people you can't be on your deathbed and you done did all the atrocities and you want to start with and you want to tell. No, man. If you're a truth seeker like myself, a scholar or educator that can confirm degrees, that have your own fraternal order that's anointed and consecrated, that's under the order of Melchizedek, what you have to hide? I'm transparent with everything, with all my affiliations. I tell people I'm part of the Philosophical Research Society. I'll be waiting for people to come with them games. But the Daughters of American Revolution, the DAR, and other Eastern Star Orders, watch this wisdom. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me hit some libations. It's already been established that the fez represents the womb. I showed y'all the 4 sets of the breather holes. Count up 2 or spell out numerology. The sacred number of 9 plus 4 equals 13. The cycle of the moon and the cycle of the woman in harmony with the moon. The white fez represents the moon, and the gold tassel, the sun, and the 360 degrees of knowledge aspired to upon the earth plane. So when you talk about the ball of mud, thus the white fez, just say if you got the white fez, because I didn't want to bring it out and get it dirty again. But the white fez represents purity, symbolic of what? The woman's womb. The Moabite nation flag, the matriarch, is white with a gold crescent and star. The crescent represents what? The mother and child. The mother cradling a child. The mother cradling a child. More specifically, the mother and the son. Wait, what? The mother and the son. What I'm talking about, the Masan, the mother and the son. As she can easily duplicate herself. But to transform a female egg into a male specimen is what? That miracle. Thus she has created the what? Miracle son, aka the prodigal son. From where? Her womb. When pondering upon the daughters of the American Revolution, acronym DAR, which all your so-called black sisters are under, we find that they began charters as far back as 1890s. Here in the so-called Northgate, Northwest Amexima, Northwest Africa, the heartland of the Temple of the Sun and the Moon. The Moorish nation flag is the flag of her sons. In the red, it's red with 5-pointed green star. Venus, the mother, in the center. When she became unconscious, the flag of her sons was flown. It represented the great bloodshed ensued upon the land, many divisions and tongues, false prophets and mass destructions and the likes. Watch the science. The bloodshed was not only in death of the human form of many, but it represented the flow of shedding of the blood to make up many other nations. The scepter, if you will, was passed to her sons while she lay unconscious. It is not the son's fault, as it was she who caused the great destruction, and it will be the Moorish Eastern stars who repair it. When you see the prophet holding the woman on the rock, her awaiting is, or will be, the great wrath of Allah. So when we talk about Venus, the mother, in the center, when she became unconscious, the flag of her son was flown. It represents the great bloodshed ensued upon the land, many divisions and tongues, false prophets and mass destructions and the likes. This is the bloodshed was not only in death of the human form of many, but it represented the flow of the shed of the blood to make up many nations, right? I wanted to reiterate that. That's why I did that twice. It's the great wrath of Allah. What were the daughters of American Revolution against? Their establishment was based on the promotion of historic preservation, education, and patriotism. Yep, and there you have it. Directly against the matriarch, which is the Republican form of government in America. A republic is based in matriarchal principles, not patriarchal. Their revolution certainly was not inclusive of the Moorish, Moabite, Asiatic, African woman, as she still thinks there is a revolution to come, and rightfully so. And it is her revolution that must occur in order for humanity to live on in harmony. I hope my Empress is listening to what I'm saying. She must wake up and recognize that she is the mother of the daughters of the American Revolution, and that they are revolting against her sons, of which they, daughters, were in concubines for. The Moabite, the Moorish, the Asiatic, the African woman must recognize and begin using and teaching her daughters to use the science of the number 9, science of the womb, to invoke the powers and purpose of her womb to bring in the children of great. As the occurrence can only happen as it relates to her and her womb. Anything other than that will bring in something that is not connected to her or her cause. Certainly not in a positive manner per se, but the development of the fetus, aka the Muslim, in the 7 stages of development upon the waters of her womb. It is then cut from the navel, and becomes a navigating L upon the 7 waters of the continent. I hope you following your brother. The daughters of American Revolution were all aware of the science of the womb, and they utilized it in the revolution and to revolt against their history of being concubines for the Moorish sons. There go the history right there. That is their history, and that is why they revolted against it. When you see when the Islamists, when they went to a certain area, you see who they was dealing with, a certain type of women. I'm trying to tell you, and the son does the bidding of the mother. I'm painting a picture. I hope people are like, yep. I'll give you a better analogy. If your dad or your granddad was in the war and say he was in Korea and he was over there for years, what type of women you think he dealing with? I'll wait. He ain't got no woman in his back pocket. I'll wait. So what type of children he gonna have? I hope we using our brains here. Even though the sons treated them fairly well, much better than their own sons, as their own sons were placed in isolation in caves of Europe, where they partook in, those things. Just like I say, Greek mythology. When you see those things, that's not your culture. Because I don't want to go all in that way, but I can show you in history that was their culture. That those things were their culture. Wasn't our culture. Can't find in our culture. When I show you Nambla, people are like, what's Nambla? Research what Nambla, what I'm saying. And then a lot of people start disappearing. And then you will see certain religious sects. You'll be like, damn, they doing this crap, that this grooming, this, that. Yeah, it's from Nambla. It's strictly, that's what it is. It's Nambla. I'm trying to tell you what it is. It's what it is. And a lot of them became, something else. A lot of them became something else. But I just wanted to give a little bit of that history because I always like to talk about things that's relevant to law. That's why I want y'all to subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube page and Facebook page as well, which is the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. Support us. I'm telling you, because once we get our brick and mortar and our library, man, we're going to be teaching all over the world. We're going to be asking professors and dignitaries and all the people that I have connections going to the university come. I'm going to do a whole different podcast and a whole different study. Not no conspiracy theory where certain figures like Nick Cannon them have to correct themselves and apologize to Jewish people. We're going to come with all that wisdom and use their books and say everything you're saying is folly. We're going to use their encyclopedias. We're going to say where the phrase anti-Semitic came from and who made it up. All those things to prove from factual history and scholarship. And then let's see. We're going to challenge all those with the black stuff, all those with the reparations with the black, all those, like the scripture says, lying lawyers and lying preachers. No disrespect. You can challenge them with the same information that they have in their hand, where it can be no excuse. It can be no excuse. It can be no debate. You can rest. Only rebuttal they can have is they don't like my fez or they don't like my candor. I don't care about that. That makes no difference. What you can't say is your brother, your sheik, Kari Goodman Bear, the BBT, ain't never lied to us about no history and no spirituality. Always gave us things to compare to. Always showed us, gave you the linguistics, gave you the lexicons, gave you the history, gave you both sides to see it. So if that's the case, then there's got to be a truth teller. There's got to be a person with a mission because everything can be researched. So when we talk about reparations, which all misnomer black people say they like and they won't, well, okay, then the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 did not free a single Negro, black or colored person from the legally binding slave laws of 1779, the United States Constitution, 3/5 clause. How about that? However, not the same can be said of the 13th Amendment of 1865. And this, the first of 3 Reconstruction amendments, did in fact abolish the institution of slavery, which opened the doors of freedom to all so-called African descendants in North America. Make no mistake about it, the 13th Amendment was the greatest and only document of manumission. Research what a manumission is, ever to be enacted by the Congress of the United States. And that's a fact. Although the 2 sections ratified were just watered down versions of the 20 sections originally proposed. Just 1 section was needed to free all African descents from their mental slavery and constitutional bondage in the United States. But then after the day in 1865, when two sections passed of the 13's original 20, remember that? It only took one of those to free all the so-called slaves from every U.S. nook and cranny, right? See? You see? It had to restore the order. I'm telling you, you got to remember that the United States has never been without so-called slaves. It's a vital ingredient to understanding factual American history, but it's not often used by most historians. It must also be remembered for the only time in her history, the U.S. ratified 3 major bodies of law into its Constitution, which concern her beloved parcels. These 3 Reconstruction Amendments were written in the exclusive interest of what? Slaves, ex-slaves, and all other Negroes only. I'm telling you, I'm gonna show y'all later. The word Reconstruction was used to identify the upgrading of slavery, more so than downloading post-war American in a Reconstruction period per se. Both of these political movements took place at the conclusion of the Civil War, but it's the later which most people assume indicative of what was actually being reconstructed. Therefore, without the enslavement of the indigenous people of West Africa, these laws will have never been ratified into existence. We just setting the precedent on something that we should agree on, because we see that we can't agree on biblical truths, so we gotta agree on who we are as a people and go into the next level. I would hope, you would think. Oh, gratitude, brother. Gratitude. But in order to understand, when we talk about the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendments, particularly and pertaining to American slaves and ex-slaves, as granting privileges, when I talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, I keep telling us, misnomer Black people, we steady playing. We steady showing our teeth. We steady spending our money on trips and things. And instead of getting with the right plan, getting on the right mission and being part of something, a part of the nation, being part of religious laws, cleaning ourselves up and saying we can have something and use the money that we're giving away to build infrastructure. I'm telling you, it can happen in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. We have to come to an understanding and a realization. We have to. Get no granted privileges opposed to human rights and opposed to rights. When I talk about the Declaration of Human Rights, most of my brothers and sisters have never read the Declaration of Human Rights. When I quote things in scholarship, when I do these things in academia, man, especially for my European colleagues and professors, they be like, what is wrong with your people? And that'd be my question I throw right back at my people. What is wrong with us? We think we so free. Like we don't have nothing. Everything is assimilated. When they say you have the right, the religious rights, you have the right to use your dollars and not give it all to Uncle Sam. You have the right. You have the right. You have the right. I give the laws. Why we don't talk about this? The Declaration of Human Rights. Human rights. You need to focus briefly on what prompted their ratifications. This enlightenment is necessary because most U.S. citizens were fooled into believing that the USA actually surrendered her slaves with no strings attached. Even a fish would not take the bait, knowing the hook was hidden there. You got to understand, America is totally unknowledgeable of being a slaveless government per se. Slavery, especially chattel slavery, when we talk about machination of a so-called Maya people, has always been a divine issue. We talk about the average time of suffering would be around 400 years. The duration of physical bondage is no exception of West Coast Africans by other nations of Europe. Remember 1492, 1865, that's what was around 373 years. And although U.S. slavery was only opposed by a few during Abraham Lincoln's presidency, but the historically versed knew the time was nigh for the emancipation, because Abraham Lincoln, as a man, did not care whether the Africans were freed or remained slavery. Why? Because the Emancipation Proclamation was such a perfect hoax of executive power is people all these years later that still believe it freed the slaves. Lincoln, like most politicians, used his knowledge of history as a platform for his office getting. But the broader their historical base, the stronger their political race. Why? Because Abraham Lincoln knew history and knew it well from the world's leading history book. What? The Bible. When he talked about the book of Deuteronomy, the Leviticus codes, which dealt with systems of so-called slavery, if you have an understanding, I'm just setting precedent. Today's enslavement of the misnomer African was strongly supported by 3 of the world's 4 major religions. The Buddhists, the Hindus, and the Confucians was the only religions order exempt. You heard me. The Buddhists, the Hindus, and the Confucians was the only religions order exempt from the modern enslavement of the ripe-skinned people of the continental Africa. Those were the only 3. I'm telling you. This by no means suggests the hands of India are innocent of an African slave trade, especially when their history has been stained by the world's foremost African slaves of all time, the misnomer Arabs. When we talk about the Arab slave trade, research it. And when I start showing you the Bukhari Hadith, when it shows you and names all so-called his slaves, who are the Siddhas of India? I'll show you this. So-called Jews of all people and Muslims with support of Christians, all with their holy books in hand, marked over 500 million Africans from 1092 to the present day. The public awareness of these religions with their participation in the so-called African slave trade would begin to end Lincoln's presidency. Mr. Lincoln said, and I quote, "There must be an inferior and a superior. I, as much as any man, am in favor of the superior being assigned to the white race." Most Bible thumpers at that time were deeply convinced that they were doing God's will to enslave the misnomer black man. The odd thing about this is it was they who labeled all Africans black in the first place. This state of mind must not be forgotten, although it is most unimaginable and unthinkable to the Negro, black, and color of today, no disrespect, but there are many people in high places today that feel just as strongly about subjugating Africans as they were 150, 200, 400, and even prior to today. So when we talk about let's make a citizen, like my professor used to say, he was like, well, you can teach it long as you can prove it. This is not being taught in school. So why would you want your kid to learn this? Why wouldn't you want to learn, especially if you got some dashiki on, you talk about yourself, you black and you proud. I ain't say black is not beautiful, but it's not a nationality. Black is an adjective. And an elementary kid can tell you that. Well, it's my nationality. No, it ain't. Black is an adjective. I have on a black shirt. You might have on a white shirt, but nobody say you got on the white or I got on the black. That's just simple. This is a black phone case. Like, it's things that's simple. And you're not on no black land. So all that black stuff is keeping you in slavery. And you don't even know it. Don't even know it. When we talk about in these proper contexts, when you know the us, when I talk about let us, the us, refer to the United States of America because it is a corporate state. You got to understand these things, and I like to clear things up because I don't want people to be confused. Like when I talk about things like this, assumed by many persons to be a sovereign independent power, the constitutional concept and interpretation of a citizen did not derive its authoritative powers from the Declaration of Independence of the original 13 United States of America. In the course of human events, they discovered that a person was bound by the laws and nature's God. When I talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, I'm quoting Charles A. Wiseman. A lot of people may not even know who Charles A. Wiseman is. They study this in Harvard, Lex, and Cambridge, Oxford. I'm telling you, that's where Bobby Hemmett and them know it. Our elder C. Freeman L. knew it. All our elders knew this. What I'm telling y'all. Everything that I'm giving you is old wisdom, and I can show you it because I'm part of these things, and I'm not going to make it a mystery. They held these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal, and their creator endows them with certain unalienable rights. Unalienable rights. Among these are life, the right to live, liberty, the right to be free, and the pursuit of happiness, the right to be content, founded, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You got to know this. The totality of these rights became the Bill of Rights. The U.S. Constitution was written by the people, what? And for the people. These laws established by freeborn and free men were from living souls who are sovereigns from the wombs of their mothers. U.S. citizens, on the other hand, no disrespect, in this context, are belligerents in the field and are subject to its jurisdiction. No disrespect, Washington, D.C., all U.S. citizens, no matter what color you are, all U.S. citizens are 14th Amendment persons. So when you deal with that aspect and not knowing what I'm saying, you can play the game if you want to, but all U.S. citizens are 14th Amendment persons, aka property, implemented by the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which was originally established to disguise the newly freed slaves. The only problem was, no disrespect, the European political powers of those days dug a shallow grave of fiend sensory for the ex-slaves, and they later fell into it themselves. See, that's the real truth of what I'm trying to tell you. If you have ears to hear and eyes, if you have ears to see and eyes to hear, this is why this day, if the so-called American actually knew what a U.S. citizen was according to their law, they really would not want to be one. I'm just saying according to their law. That's why your religious rights trump everything. But who am I? Who am I? Who am I? I'm no one. I just know who I am and my brothers and sisters are, and I know what we have the right to do of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I know we have the right to proclaim, declare, and have due process. I know our religious rights trump everything. I know that. I know that for a fact. I know that. I know our religious laws trump anything individually that anybody talking. I know who we are as a church, a principality, a temple, a school, all these things that can be synonymous that the average person won't know. And that's why they get caught up in calamity. Because they don't know that your nationality and your spirituality you need to have to connect you the 2/5 that was taken from you from so-called slavery and the mental slavery. And you don't even understand that. You're missing the whole thing. Your religious laws trump everything. Do you see the Mormon and the Amish support anything the United States government? No. No, because their religious laws trump it. We have lost our culture and gave it to a so-called colonized book that you don't understand, that's broken down from your history. I tell everybody this all day. We lost our culture. We lost it. We are 14th Amendment person's property, but not me. Implemented, not my brothers and sisters, by the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Research it. Research it. You gotta, what a lot of people fail to realize is during the drafting of this great document, European men age 21 were the only people recognized in America. You didn't know that? Women, other nationalities, and slaves were not considered as whole persons or people. See, we didn't have a problem with our women working. A lot of our empresses took that women's right things out of context, and they took on somebody else's problem and brought that in our house and destroyed everything. I'm telling you what I know. It's just like with welfare. It's just like with welfare. I say any woman on welfare, you're a government agent. Because this my thing is, I wouldn't have multiple babies by a jackleg. And me as a woman, I don't need no welfare. These are the things that I be telling people. We say, well, we got a baby, I want to get welfare. Why? It takes a village to raise a child. When children are born, families come together and beat a neck. You don't need the government to come in and tell you what to do, how to do it, how you can do this, what you can afford, everything got to be. You don't need that. You should understand your religious rights to what? To be private. To be private. Like, it's going to be a lot of my friends is going to be lost in the sauce because the trumpet is sounded right now. And most brothers is not a part of nothing. And it's sad because you're still operating as a 14th Amendment person. We fail to realize it when during the drafting of the document, the European men age 21 were the only people recognized in America, as I said. Women, other nationalities, and slaves were not considered as whole persons or people, at least not with rights that the pale-skinned man had to respect. It takes a number of persons to make a people. As written in Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, the word person was summarized into fifths, and 5 fifths made one complete person. This person, as endowed by the Creator and the laws of nature, was declared the whole number, and a free person. A free person is an Amazigian, is a Moor. We the ones that's confused. We the ones that don't support nothing. We give everything away. I keep telling us, you think that I'm set up the same way when I say church, tax exempt for the federal government. I can give everybody a tax exempt receipt. And if you work with us and you do things, I can give you in-kind service. We give our money away to Uncle Sam because we thinking we getting a tax return. You ain't getting no return on something that you ain't already gave up. And you only getting a small percent back what's took from you. When I talk about my Jewish family and all my other European religious houses, what they do is what? They support their religious and charitable contribution of their choice. That's how they own their schools and their temples. And they get a tax exempt receipt. And if they making money, athletes and everything, they just don't give their money away to Uncle Sam. They support their religious and charitable organization and get a tax exempt receipt. It's that simple. It's that simple. And that's what I tell my people until we understand. And like I said, I like dealing with cheers, going places where people understand this. I just don't want things to happen. And I show my people, be like, I told y'all. While everybody looking, I said we can do this on small donations. My whole family and my whole friends. Everybody can get a tax exempt receipt. Our mental is messed up because we thinking we getting something from Uncle Sam, and you're not getting nothing. You're not getting nothing. You're not getting nothing that you ain't already willingly gave. You can talk to any tax law person, anyone. They be like, this man is telling you the truth. We can build our own infrastructure with the money that we're giving to Uncle Sam. And I can give everybody a tax exempt receipt because we're tax exempt for the federal government, religious, charitable, scientific, educational. That's not even hard. And then hold me accountable. And I'm from the city of Flint. There's so many buildings available, so many ex-churches. We turn these to our active temple and school and library, our skilled trades, our art center. My mother is an artist. I mean, it's so much. We have everything we need from boxing to art to weightlifting to chess to making clothes, everything for the culture, a full library, all these things. But as we proceed, this person is endowed with the Creator and the laws of nature were declared the whole person as a free person. This endowed with totality of fifths made a complete person and subsequently a citizen. When the USA was first formed under its constitution, its sovereignty was for and by the people, mankind. The word person was used by the people to describe their property. So when a lawyer, no disrespect, say person, you lost. It described businesses, fictional beings. Persons gave life to corporate American oath, affidavits, notaries, and self-incriminating pro se, used by these brothers that talk about some straw man. Masonic members that's part of the Moorish Science Temple, they moored away with I am a citizen of the USA. But I break these down in science for you to have a clear understanding. We want to have a clear understanding of who we are in America. We want to. So the true 5/5 components of a natural person is your spirit, your soul, your body, your nationality, and your creed. Your spirit is the indestructible God essence in man. Your soul is the actions of the mind's powers, thinking, reasoning, willing, and understanding. Your body is the flesh, human vehicle made of the earth, often indigenous to the land of birth. Nationality, the descended birth attachment through an especial nation or tribe. Free national name, lineage, identity. Creed, religious path of God consciousness, established through forefathers, vine and fig tree. So when we talk about nationality and creed, were the two main fifths extracted from the African nationals. Remember George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and many other, no disrespect, European free Masonic slave owners who signed the Constitution of the United States. They wrote in their chattel as what? 3/5 of a person. The Constitution thus became the first legal national deed of ownership of African slaves in the new nation. The act alone legalized racism and apartheid into the interior fabric of the new American culture. Further, it politically certified all acronym Negro, Black, and Colored as 3/5 of all other persons and at the level of a beast. Now, why today, if you're so educated and you love the Lord, why would you call yourself a Negro, Black, and a Colored and then have you on the level of a beast? Because the Europeans wrote a book, it's called The Negro is a Beast. Read it. They laugh at, I'm telling you, from scholarship, they laugh at us because they know it. Most of them are Protestant. I'm telling you history. If any Protestant European professor sat right here with me, he will agree. He would be like, yeah, you might have got baptized, but you're still a slave. I guarantee you, if he be honest, because that's their charter. I guarantee you, any of them will give me a secret handshake. I guarantee you, everyone. I guarantee you, any European professor, Protestant, anything that's preaching, that know me, especially in Arizona, I bet you they'd be like, well, can I talk to you in private? I guarantee you. I guarantee you. Facts. Any man without national roots from which to draw strength and the great God for his guidance is no longer a complete man. For those who keep up with the total commercialization of these corporate, how can I say, just like the Wizard of Oz, this fake stuff, as portrayed in that movie, you will easily see that the misnomer Negro, Black, and Colored as purely a fictional character, aka fake citizen, painted in the scheme of an ex post facto government per se. Listen what I'm saying. It's necessary to connect yourself to the human family, your nationality, and your divine order. It is impossible for the misnomer Negro to leave the land of make-believe without their shoes handed down by their ancient forefathers. This is what I'm telling us. Now, all they have to do is apply their will and climb the tree, or that 3-step ladder per se, those 3 steps of thinking, that thinking ladder that you go. You know, for my brothers that's Masons, you know what I'm talking about. With its rounds of belief, faith, and fruition. It's in your Moorish Quran, chapter 7, verse 25 to 31. You see, to attempt to remove in whole or in part 1 or more fifths from any man is a conscious act known simultaneously as both a sin and a crime. So that's why when these people get behind the pulpits, that's Freemasons, and they talk all this stuff, out of body experience stuff, they just sitting up there lying to you. That's what the scripture says. Woe to you lying preachers. Woe to you lying lawyers. And in the biblical scriptures, man, no God, man, don't take no oath to no another man. We don't take no oath. We're under the order of Melchizedek. We don't take no oath to no another man. And then confuse the people. The United States judicial system marks this violation as a federal crime and is known throughout the U.S. courts as denationalization. So any God, man, that look like you and me should be teaching what? Who you are. Anything else is denationalization. The irony in this crime is that it's committed manually by everyone that's teaching. Since the 14th Amendment became law and then written, aka state seal, upon the live birth of every Moorish American baby, everyone in the world, but denationalization is played off on the birth certificates. It's just what it is. When I talk about the Negro as the sardine, we ain't saying overthrowing no government, no stupid like this, but what I talk about is correcting mistakes. When people say, are you talking about a status correction? You ain't hear none out of my mouth say no status correction. You, your mother and son child, without a doubt. When I talk about House Joint Resolution 75, listen clearly. That's why people need to be educated and be a part of things so you won't take nothing I say out of context. So you can operate the right way and the heart can be corrected first. You see, it's all about the spirit being corrected first. That's why the text says, beware of lying lawyers. Any lawyer worth his salt of the bar exam will lie to you. They will swear on the Bible and declare, watch this, fact check me. they would declare that blacks are citizens of the USA because this is what they would say. The term other persons of the U.S. Constitution refers to slaves. Okay, well, if that's the case, but the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, right? And or the Dred Scott decision was replaced by the 14th Amendment, right? Amendment specifically. So the Dred Scott law was not overturned, it was replaced. I hope you listen. Eliminated the 3/5 formula. What these fair servants of the court would not tell their clients is that no constitutional laws has ever been handed down by Congress to teach back the latter 2/5 necessary to make the so-called free slaves into a whole person. A person must be made consciously whole before he or she can become a citizen, have the rights of a citizen, and be subject to the jurisdictions of a citizen. Everyone, I mean everyone, anywhere on the planet Earth, has all 5/5 and are whole, except who? The Negro, the Black, the color, or African American, the blacks in America, and the Cetus of India. Remember, the 13th Amendment abolished physical slavery, but left psychological, mental slavery in full effect. And that's what's happening to our brothers and sisters and family right now. And they in the same breath talking about some reparations and Black Lives Matter. But we so educated and so smart, and we can't even have these conversations. It violates the 2/5 of the right of mind, the soul, of the 5 gifts from the Creator. And speaking of one right mind, it reminds me how, no disrespect, Christianized Negro, blacks, and color will pray to God or someone that don't even look like them and thank them for things, for allow them to wake up in the morning, clothed in their right mind. And little did they know, the mind that they woke up with and the gods that they were presently serving are not their inherently own. And that's just my observation. That's just my observation, because I got a degree in what I'm talking about. You gone?
Yeah, I'm gone.
Have a good one, Ma.
All right.
But with the ratification of the 13th Amendment, the enslavement of human bodies is now legally enforced upon criminals duly convicted as punishment for crimes. I'm just setting the precedent. Yet the ex-slave still exists within the United States, is held powerless and subject to jurisdiction. The only crime was being of African descent. So the 13th Amendment merely closed the door for slavery in the South, which was without power at that time, and then it opened the gates of the United States government to protect itself against rudderless ex-slaves. It's so much to be talked about when we clear up history. Remember, President Lincoln also said, "My people do not want them, slaves, to become citizens. If I could unite my country without freeing the slaves, I would do that." He was actually expressing a European national sentiment. No true red-blooded American wanted to free slaves. Although the ratification of the original 13th Amendment with its full body of 20 sections did not reach fruition, it is still of the utmost importance for its historical adjudication before the 1864 U.S. Congress to be known to African descents, especially because the enactment of these laws was also about the emancipation and freedom of their recent grandfathers. And 2, when the full Senate vote on passing the 13th Amendment was yes 38, nay 7, the U.S. slave population was 98% illiterate, and not one of them was present to represent themselves as a nation. And now, all this time later, they're children of today. When I tell brothers and sisters, we can read. I've done this in academia, we can read. My brother should stand with me. They can now know what their grandparents didn't know, what our parents didn't know, and what your uncles and some of your mothers know, and fathers and cousins know. That's Freemasons know, but will never tell you. And gonna have to sit on their hands. The information can be found in the U.S. Library of Congress. Research what I'm telling you, or the 1885 book called The Great Conspiracy by John Logan. I hope y'all understand what I said. Did anybody catch that? What I just said? Anybody catch that before I proceed? Because we got a little bit more time. We got a little bit more time. Oh, damn. Somebody just hit me up and said that other document you said was was mind blowing. He said it's right in the Library of Congress. Sheik, I know, brothers. That's what I be saying. I already know. I know. So that's why I tell brothers and sisters, you can't be mad at no one but your own teachers. You can't be mad at no one but your own teachers. When you can give them that look and be like, how and why? You know? So did everybody get that book? Or write it down and I can send it to everybody later. That's what we do here at the BBT. You know, a lot of time when people give donations and things and like that, what we do, we give wisdom. We build brothers and sisters libraries, because I'm not going to talk about or share nothing that I don't have access to. I'm not going to send you to nobody else's story and they can try to charge you thousands of dollars for a book and they get a kickback. No, I'm the source. If you want a hard copy, we have a company where we print it and bind it, you know, like so. Or you can download it on your tablet, you know. And if you don't want us to print and bind it, you can go to Office Max and Staples. Here go the book right here. I'm talking about everything I talk about, I have it, you know. And I have it for research for anyone, you know, and all my brothers and sisters know it. We're a source of information. We're a source of scholarship, you know. That's what the BBT is. So let's proceed. Hold on. What did he say? I'm sorry, y'all. I was just, I had to check this. What'd he say? Okay. Apology, y'all. But yeah, we have all these documents, man. All right. So, but with the 20 sections, I don't have time to read them, but you can read it for yourself. But the 14th Amendment, which I tell y'all, listen to this for all my brothers and sisters. I warn Moors about the needless power of the 14th and the 15th Amendment. There was no need for the application of the 14th and the 15th Amendment for the salvation of my people. I'm calling you my people if you my brother, if you understand. I'm telling you. Just like everyone else, we could be like, oh, I'm happy because people got jobs and they don't come back to the community and educate nothing. Everything is sucked. Everything is a party. I'm telling you, we can do something so amazing. When I examined the 1865 and through the 70 amendments, I made the determination that the 14th and the 15th Amendment, they were sneaky documents of re-enslavement that ever been written, because the 14th Amendment alone is crippling and devastating. It transformed every citizen from ignorant sugar cubes to corporate sheets, known as straw men, within 60 years of the ratification, because the power of the South had been its slaves until losing the Civil War. An 1863 military strategy of Emancipation Proclamation and an 1870 Negro Voters' Rights Amendment proved the Southern states were powerless without its slaves. Do y'all follow what I'm saying? And the 14th and the 15th Amendments brought the North and the South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power. And since the Civil War was primarily fought between one brother in blue and the other in gray, the 14th Amendment was actually a legal settlement or an agreed order, which took slavery from the Great Dispensation and spread it to every state throughout the United States of the Blue Republic. Remember? This was the only way both brothers could settle the long grievance of owning and sustaining slaves in America. I'm telling y'all, man, I'm just setting the precedent. We almost done. There's so much more I can say, you know? Without the free national descent name of their forefathers and their own true nationality, then by divine and natural law, they are still slaves and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Property now owned by the U.S. government, its courts and laws. When I tell y'all the religious laws trump everything and nationality is the order of every day, it's a mental blow to the head. With all due respect to the U.S. courts being the fiend owner of the ex-slaves today, particularly their inheritance, the 13th Amendment frees the Africans to proclaim their forefathers' free national name and religion. But we didn't. Over centuries of absorbing every form of dehumanization contrived by man, the misnomer Negro, Black, and Colored have become too accustomed to, no disrespect, civil rights or handouts, welfare. And worst of all, they have been knocked in the head so hard they are still legally unconscious of themselves and their divine origin. All this time later, you know, it was during a 3-year lull the 14th Amendment was fabricated, forming a legal constitutional death blow to a people freshly stillborn from slavery. Indeed, now unfolds into the divine reason why I teach and I wrote to the Moors, stating, since the United States Constitution has never been changed, brothers and sisters, there is no need for the application of the 14th and the 15th Amendment for the salvation of my people. I don't have to say nothing else. So white people can't understand what I'm saying, and let's move forward and let's put our resources behind it that we're giving away to Uncle Sam. Why? And build our infrastructure in our cities. Why not? Because I ain't on nobody's side. I'm telling you, we've been lied to by everybody that look like us, that's an educator, and that's a religious man that put that black slavery stuff on it. We got to come from out of that slave stuff. It ain't happening. All those misnomers. It's over. It should be over. It's no need. It's no need. Since the United States Constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and the 15th Amendment for the salvation of my brothers and sisters. That's misnomer, Negro, Black, and Colored, and African Americans here in North America. Somebody had to claim the ex-slaves. When you talk about reparations, Negroes not going to get nothing. Why? Because you created. You have a master. You are created. Negro, Black, and Colored, and African Americans are only as old as America. You're not ancient. This is the sad part. This is the sad part. Negroes would never have true rights. Negroes, today's African American, would never have true rights. The misnomer of Negro, Black, and Colored, the acronym I call NBC, being the names of denationalized human property, were never designed to have rights. As labeled property, the Negro, Black, and Colored can never have true rights because all rights are contingent upon universal, natural, and or civil laws. Before there can be rights, there must be laws from which rights derive their strength. Since the Negro does not have a constitution or laws of autonomy from which to govern itself, he or she cannot have lawful rights. This is why the Dred Scott decision of 1857 stated, and I quote eloquently with the silver tongue, the Negro has no rights that true citizens are bound to respect. Come on, this divine and civil law was ratified in the 14th Amendment under the word persons and sealed in its section 4, which stated in essence that Negroes, aka persons, whether free, you call yourself some dead Negro slave Freemason, whether free or slave, whether free or slave, have no rights to compensation or reparations. You heard me. So when you come with that slave, that black stuff, I don't care if you get Ben Crump, he's lying. He gonna get paid anyway, regardless if he win or lose. So you should know that off the dribble. You see? So when you come into an arena and these people playing you, like the scripture says, woe to you, lying lawyer, and he know this off the top, because that's an elementary law student when we're dealing with law and policy, indigenous people, he should know that because it's in there. The 14th Amendment under the word persons and sealed in its section 4. They know this, which stated in essence that Negroes, aka persons, whether free or slave, just like when these people call themselves some black Freemason, or when our brothers and sisters get baptized under that Protestant stuff, and they thought they were free. You were nothing but still a baptized Negro slave. Didn't mean nothing. whether free or slave, have no rights to compensation or reparations. I'm in favor of reparations. That's as everybody else is. I tell everybody I'm down with reparations, but when you come in with that black stuff, something got to be wrong with your mental. Still, the stately restitution is only reserved from constituted governments for atrocities imposed against another what? Recognized nation, tribe, and or family bearing what? The same free national name. And by design, the misnomer Negro, Black, and Color is neither of these. I'm telling you. And to avoid paying reparations to slave and descendants of so-called ex-slaves is the main reason for the Congress of the United States writing Section 4 into the de facto 14th Amendment recycle bin of the misnomer Negro, Black, and Color slave, aka persons identifications. I hope you have eyes to see. That's why the Bible says, woe to you lying lawyers and woe to you lying preachers. You can't deny what I'm saying. This amendment is nothing short of a title of ownership and assumable jurisdiction of the free nation of people brought forth by Congress in the 13th Amendment. First, the misnomer Negro, Black, and Color must be free as a people bearing one free national name. Then and only then will they be able to claim rights, which will draw its powers from their own constituted laws and principles. You see, until these laws are adhered to, the misnomer Negro, Black, and Color will remain as chattel and without rights. They can only function under granted privileges, as demonstrated shamelessly with the 15th Amendment, those voting privileges, that amendment. This has been the existing condition since the 3/5 clause of 1779. Today's graduate lawyers of the ABA exam will argue that when explaining how the same slave laws of Negro, Black, and Color that lawfully began in 1779 are still certified as state-owned property today, all these years later. It is. There is not a rightful law on earth that can make a citizen from a mold design to produce the shapes of property, and the African-American, etc., being another misnomer. In the egg slot of slave labels are exclusively made in America. This is why privileges granted to property should never be misconstrued as being the same as true rights earned by citizens of a free national government. When I show you how the temple is set up, when I show you how the BBT is set up, you got to understand that words are synonyms. When I say the religious laws, you don't understand that's a form of a government, but we don't have eyes to see. You don't have eyes to see. We talk about a nation in a nation, which you have the rights. If you understand exactly your religious laws and who you are as a people, you can navigate the right way. You can use your dollars. I'm giving you all things to operate, but we begging. We want all government stuff while we giving our funds away and don't understand it. And I'm breaking it down very simple. The 15th Amendment, the last of the Reconstruction Amendment, resulted from the Great Right of Suffrage of 1870. The amendment gave guaranteed voting powers to the free male Negro slave, but it was not because America so loved her, only slave, it gave them the right to vote, as all other citizens, quite contrary. After the assassination of Lincoln, the South began pouring representatives money, influence, filibusters, and lobbyists into Washington, with inherent to regain dominion in the South and reinstitute slavery. I could talk about more and more, you know. It's a lot to talk about because 98% of them couldn't read. The Negro weight of the political South was used against itself. And these Trojan votes restored sovereign power and the United Union States. In short, property was used to defend itself. You see? Citizens of the U.S. were guaranteed the right to vote in the very first article of the Constitution. Read it, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 1. Therefore, the 15th Amendment was purely for the purpose of pacifying a segment of civilian populace for a time. This is why the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment are all prompted by the government to quell some form of civil unrest. This form of government tactic is not new. Due to the instability of the public, especially in a culturally diverse country like America, Granted privileges are a necessary deterrent to civil revolts by the whole polloi. In historical retrospect, Rome crucified Yahshua according to their laws, not because he was guilty, but because Caiaphas of the so-called Jewish Sanhedrin had threatened massive destruction to the city and Pilate's palace if their demands were not met. And all this time later, in almost an identical scenario, Lincoln, an executive chief and commander of the military, had to do what was best to save America, right? That's why the Negro perpetually remains as chattel and without rights. I'm telling you. I'm telling y'all, man. It's a way to free us. You see, the Masonic brother not going to tell you. They're going to play a game with you. It's the U.S. Reconstruction Amendments. I gave you a crash course on the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment. The way they paid to go behind the scene of these laws, which compel in the infamous shallow grave of Haram Abiff. See, these Mason brothers not going to tell you. That's why I said it's a joke. No disrespect. And even when I talk to my fraternity brothers, I say, come on, man, we can't do that. We can't do that and act like we telling truth. The student would be surprised to see the plan that kept the so-called ex-slaves holding steadfast to slave names all this time today, holding on to labels that denotate slaves. It's been proven you can no more make a bond citizen out of Negro, black, and colored than make a Muslim eat swine during their pilgrimage into the holy city of Mecca. Just like when I talk about language, when a brother hit me up, he was like, Sheikh, do I need to learn this language? I said, it's good to learn the language if that's what you want to do, but it's not, the wisdom is not contingent on you learning another language, because you can be lied to in a whole another language. If you learn another language and there's no one to interpret it, then you must need it in a linguistic. So a lot of things I be telling people, I don't get caught up in things that's meaningless. You know, for me, I get caught up in things that mean things, but all discipline is good. Balance this lawful history with the United States official losing its sovereignty in 1871, returning to its corporate status as when it was just British colonies. And your summation will be simple. You know, when we talk about certain crimes and things, but I don't want to stay there because people take my words out of context. But a black political hostage is a state of encompassment. It's a state of unnatural existence that envelopes so-called black people, which is seen by the masses, yet is largely unnoticed due to its obscure definition. In essence, this state of substance and the colorable legalized enslavement of a nation of people held here in the United States of America to reveal the phenomena. It is necessary to dissect the words black, political, and the word hostage. Black is only a word, not a color, which according to science mean deaf, void of life, absent of life, negative, when we talk about the machination of a Maya people. So why would you go in a court of law talk about you some black man? Political, the practice, influence of a government, anything pertaining or relating to the policy or administration of a government, state, or national. If you got the state booklet, how the temple is set up, you will want to be a part of something like me. You'll want to be a fraternal order. You'll want to know to have the religious laws. The exercise of the functions vested in those charged with the conduct of government to control its public policy, our religious laws, our proclamation, our declaration, our aims, the exercise of governmental powers, hostage, any persons, family, tribe, or national, or people, once free, now captured, usually kidnapped from alien origin, held against his or her will, with their freedom and or life or service to stand as ransom or security. So hostage taken in the U.S., ironically, is a federal crime. Title 18 USCA 1203, and nearly always invokes various kidnapping status. But technically, these are polite legal terms to soften the impact of the unlawful taking of human beings, realized as an act of kidnapping, enslavement, or in the case of European women, no disrespect, white slavery. However, today it's not considered politically correct to use the root word slave or its attributes when speaking to the U.S., although it is commonly referred to as the land of the free and the home of the slave. I want us to know this. We almost done. This kind of politicized thinking reflects social unwillingness to accept pure truth. The origin of the Black political hostage began with the transfer of slave ownership from the powerless Southerners to the constitutional fold of the government for the restoring United States. Most people, especially the misnomer Negro, Black, and colored, assume that either the Emancipation Proclamation or the 13th and the 14th Amendment freed the slaves and made them citizens. In fact, these documents, enacted during a 5-year period from 1865 to 70, did not free them unconditionally, but merely transferred them as property from one owner to another, from the Southern rebellious Confederate States to throughout every state within the United States. Meanwhile, it is true that the 13th Amendment did in fact abolish the institution of slavery in the USA. However, it is also equally true that no one told the newly freed people they were now a nation. And this law only brought temporary harmony and satisfaction between the Scottish and the Yorkites, in both North and South. I'm talking about Masonry. Yes, sir. I'm talking about Masonry. During these 5 years of power consolidation, the productive business of slavery became the most paramount of political issues. I don't mean any disrespect to no one. No one. I'm just giving you history, and it's just what it is. And we can take it how we want to. I don't have no problem with no one's nationality. I love everyone. The European masters of deception, like an iceberg of friends, men, were making more decisions in private, beneath the eyes of the public, than revealed in the political realms. When I talk about Masonry, that's why I don't hold no punches with my brothers that took an oath. I know so many brothers that's Masons that took an oath that'll just be talking a whole bunch of stuff that's meaningless. That's meaningless. So I just want us to understand that, man. I want to end it right there, because I can talk about a lot more, but I don't want to. We already showed you that you white by law, from scholarship, from history. It's not too much that I can say anymore to brothers and sisters. We just giving all our funds away while we watching people do nothing, while we say happy birthday to these entertainers, while we post these memes, while we into so much niggerly stuff, because they got us. We don't use social media to bring our brothers together. We don't use our finances to do good things. Like right now, everybody waiting to file their taxes. And everybody think they're getting a tax return. I ask everybody, if you think you're getting a tax return, tell me how. You couldn't even explain it. That's why I laugh at a lot of my brothers and sisters. I say, how in the only time out the year you get some money is when a tax return? How? We talk about the legal construction of race, Malik. How? We break this down from history. When I break this down, I say, man, I'm educated in these things. We give everything away. We let everybody make decisions for us. And the laws already tell us. I break these things down. Why you think most athletes and things that make all that money, they don't have their own? Why you think all the European Jews, they do have their own? Because they understand the religious laws, and they understand that they taxes them for the federal government, religious and charitable and scientific. And you can donate to your religious and charitable organization of your choice and get a taxes in receipt. That's why I laugh at these entertainers, these rappers and these entertainers that get caught up in tax evasion. How can you get caught up in tax evasion and you say you got a tax preparer? They don't go to jail, you go, because you're supposed to know. But if you making all that money, all you got to do is support your brother and say, man, we're going to build an infrastructure. If you in California, the California say you could give 60% of your earned income before taxes to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. So say if you're making $10 million a year or whatever, and you owe Uncle Sam $1 million, and you can say, well, I want to donate $600,000 to the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. But you can give more if you want to, because can't nobody tell you that. They might try to audit you, but long as you telling the truth, it ain't nothing. And that's how you build your infrastructure. After our MBA, after these brothers and sisters MBA days over, and after all the podcasts they be talking about doing this and training this, we have to go to other people's facilities. And we could have had our own facilities, our own temples, our own schools, our own houses we own, right in our neighborhood. How? By the money that we giving to Uncle Sam. Every regular worker, we say, oh, I'm paying my taxes. I know, but you have the right to what? To support your religious and charitable contribution of your choice and get a tax-exempt receipt. I break things down, how to do things the right way. We don't have to do nothing extra. Ask any tax law person. Ask anyone what I'm saying. We give everything away. We give everything away. You know, this is the science that I'm building together. When I say it takes finances, Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19, wine is made for laughter, but money trumps all. There's nothing wrong with money. Money is not the root to evil. How can any preacher tell you that money is the root to all evil? How? That don't even make sense. And I'm telling you, in the midst of storms, that's the time where people can come into things. Just like when I talk about the great migration in urban areas, like I'm from the city of Flint. One of my muftis in St. Louis. These are areas that misnomer black people has went on. Politics may be all messed up, but it's so many buildings available. In my city of Flint, I don't have enough hands and toes to show you how many buildings available that we could take over. I gave an analogy, 300 people giving $100 a month. That's $300,000 a year coming in. And we talking about just that. Just imagine we got other people donating to things. We have an infrastructure. Hold me accountable. Everybody get a tax-exempt receipt. That ain't nothing but $1,000 a year from everyone. I teach this. I show people. I'm like, listen, you can do things the right way. How? If you work the money that you willingly give it to Uncle Sam, you can divert a fraction of that or more than that to say, you know what, I'm going to support this. Or you can say, hey, you can do that and give what you want to and hold us accountable in one calendar year. This is what I'm talking about. It's the only way these things can happen. We use the internet to bring brothers and sisters like together because everybody on different times. I'm on different times. Everybody on different schedules. Everybody work different. That's great. But wouldn't it be amazing? We have a place and everybody is stakeholders that use a little small tittle of their money and trust something and say, wait a minute, man, this man done this that fast with this little small funds. You would be looking back at everybody else like, damn, because I have a full library. I'm gonna bring the whole library. I have skills. I'm gonna show kids how to make their own clothing. We're gonna show them web design. We're gonna show them resume writing. We're gonna show them so much stuff. How to grow fruits and vegetables, how to blend herbs, how to understand what herbs is good for this and what's for that, how to grow fruits and vegetables, how to be in shape, teach them martial arts. All these things we're gonna teach is part of what? Culture. And all these things can be done how? With the money that we giving Uncle Sam, because I know all of us work. When you get a job, we willingly let them take a percentage out our checks before you even get it. It's about what, 3 or 4 different levels. You can take this much, this much, this much, this much. Some people let Uncle Sam take the most out because they think they're getting a big return, which you're not. You're only getting a small tittle of what they took. So isn't it amazing if you understand these levels? Because if you can file exempt for a certain amount of time, then I would say, wait a minute. Once you figure these things out, you can file exempt forever if you're doing it right. If you are your own tax person, if you budget it right, and then you go and get your tax done or whoever do it, you have your receipts that match. I'm telling people the religious laws. This is how organizations that's tax exempt from the federal government operate. The religious laws trump all of it. That's why it's set up like this for us, family. All we have to do is use our couple dollars that we give him willingly to Uncle Sam and build infrastructure. That's why they don't teach this to NBA players and our young brothers that going through these things. They get European, no disrespect, or Negroes to pay their taxes or pay their bills. You don't need nobody to pay their bills. You should know this. That's why after a lot of playing days over, we own nothing in our community. Because a lot of money has been spent. It goes right back. The system is set up for the money to go right back. The system is set up for you not to support what you want to support in your community, and they tell you what to support. Some popular thing, but we can be popular. We can make us popular. I just told y'all we can make a big mark. All these things that these people doing, the energy is whatever energy it is, but we can take the same energy what we know with the right people and stand strong and be boom. Just like that. And everybody can hold me accountable. I'm telling you, everybody can hold me accountable. That's what it's about. But we can't do things without putting a couple dollars behind it. We can't do that. And we can't have our own stores where we produce our feds and have our own regalia, where you can come in, where you can get counsel, where you can talk, where it's a storehouse, where everybody can come and learn, where we have discussion. That's what the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School is. It's a community where we teach people about their fez, their turban, our dress. This is what I'm telling people. And if any of us confused on these things, everything I talk about is factual. How I know? Because if I have professors that support and say, well, I'm going to donate, I just hope they all give me good blessings and say, I hope you get to the level where your people support, because you got a good thing going on. This is what I'm telling my people, and it can change in a moment and a twinkling of an eye. We can't be afraid to talk about money. We can't. We let people put a negative connotation on money. We're not negative. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19, all you got to do is read it. I give you quotes of the scriptures. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 19. Read it for yourself, and then tell me what you think it means. We cannot be afraid to talk about finances if our heart is pure, because we know it takes finances to buy buildings. We know it takes finances to produce fezzes. We know it takes finances for me to produce these books, to have all these things going on for you. We know it takes finances to do everything. And so when we're doing this in the right way, instead of us just giving all our money to Uncle Sam, we can say, wait a minute, I want to support something. I want to see that. And we can do it. And everybody get a tax and receipt. Now, and I want to know, how hard is that? It can't be that hard, family. And I think once we get over that hump, I think it's a trust thing as well. Like my Mufti said, well, we've been lied to so much. When you come with the truth so simple and so plain, and most of my brothers have been with me for years, so they know my word is bond. A lot of people be like, is it real? You know it's real, especially if you've been following me for years. When men be like, man, I've been following you since you've been in the stores. They're like, I've been following you since you was a divine minister in your city of Flint. They're like, all you got to do is look you up on, when you do a Google search, so much of you pop up. One dude hit me up. He was like, man, I was just scrolling through Facebook, and now AI have everything. And he was tapping on all your history and everything. He said, man, everything is about you. It's just pleasant and real. And speaks about education, speaks about illuminating your people. Like, everything about you is real. Like, and he was just, man, I hope what you're doing pick up. And his brother give donations. He never come to class, but he say, brother, I like what you're doing, and I'm gonna support financially. And I'm like, wow. That's why I say, people, don't y'all want to see this? Don't people want to see what we do, not what I do? Don't people want to see this happen when you can see our flag, our school, our organization? You can see kids, women with fezzes and turbans on in the city, in our urban neighborhoods, how it used to be. We can share this live. The algorithm picks up. People be sharing this with their family and friends. This is what I always tell people, why we don't share this with our family and friends. Why? Why we don't share this with our family and friends? Why do we just hold it to ourselves and try to regurgitate stuff? Man, family and friends should be hitting me up, sharing this. I've done gathered and compiled over 15 books. All my family and friends should get it. And if you don't have the funds to go on my company pages, you can hit me up personally, and I'll give you all of my books. That's ebooks. And I have a whole nother library. All people got to do is hit me up. This is what I'm saying. What's the purpose? I mean, what's the use? And when we can't come together and do this, and I know we can, family. I'm gonna talk about this. I'm not discouraged. Like I said, I'm so, how can I say it, energized, because I know we can do this. I'm looking at it in a front row, and I'm living it. I be around people, in real life. Even my friends, family, how we spend. Even my mom and my dad is some of my biggest supporters. They like, son, you're not asking for nothing out of the line. My professor, they be like, you're not asking for nothing out of the line. People have to understand and support what you're doing, because it's worth it. Especially if you already giving funds away to Uncle Sam, and the law say that you can donate a big percentage of your earned income to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice, and I can give you a tax-exempt receipt. So if that's the case, I'm not even asking for 10%. Some places, depending on how much you make, is more than 10%. Like in Arizona, if you make like 70,000, you got to give like 13%, which is 13,000. But you get in-kind service if you're working with the temple. I don't even ask brothers and sisters for that much. I say, man, support my muftis donate a small fraction. And then if you have family members that understand what we're doing, like, and I give analogies because I always talk about numbers. 300 people donating $100 a month is 300 grand. And that's a small tittle. And everybody get a taxes and receipt. Everyone. That's real infrastructure in one calendar year. Or just imagine if it came all in like that, a person be like, okay, Sheik, we holding you accountable. It's over. I go right to my city, buy a building because I know too many. Anybody from my city of Flint, they'll be like, yep, he right. I go to St. Louis where my other mufti at. Dantes, we'll buy a facility there. Because let me tell you something about what I know. No disrespect to Moors. In the city of Flint, you got a Moorish Science Temple of America, whatever. I'm saying it like that, whatever. You got one in St. Louis, whatever. No disrespect. We're here to resurrect some things. And it can happen just like that in our cities where our brothers and sisters at. That's confused. That people act like this Moorish science is some magic trick or some gang group. Nope. This is what I'm asking my brothers and sisters. This is what I'm asking all my friends and family to support and at least purchase my books and at least be serious in what we're doing and share this. At least share it. At least support some monthly, get the literature. Hit me up and say, man, I want to support whatever way it is. If you got a school or you go somewhere, you want someone to go speak, I can't just be speaking to Europeans or going back to GCU and speaking to students that's different religious backgrounds that don't even look like me, that ask me to come in without offer books, and I don't get that type of welcoming from my own people. Like it just blows my mind. It blows my mind over and over. And my dad is an elder. My mom is my empress elder. I'm their teacher. I'm their sheik. I have elders. I've been through academia, and especially if you were more, especially if you talk about you want to join some Masonic or you're going to be a Freemason. Why? After I just broke all this stuff down. Why? And a lot of stuff I talk about, I know you don't know. I know for a fact. I know your parents don't know. I know your parents don't know. Why? Because they weren't initiated into the wisdom. And if they do know, they're not going to tell you because they took an oath. I know people, families, dads, granddads, be Masons, you will never know until they die. And if I come around like somebody dad that was a Mason was like, well, your wisdom and understanding, I knew who you were when you was coming, young man. Introduced me, tried to give me one of them little small grips, but I'm always lying, Paul. I always tell people it's like it's all good. You're dealing with no I'm initiated, but I ain't took no oath. Initiation under the wisdom. I'm telling y'all, it's just a fact. So when I speak, I'm coming from love. Yeah, 1, 5, 10, 15, 20 a month, whatever your heart tells you, inshallah. That's what I say, Malik. So I tell people when they be like, man, you should have a temple and this and that. I say, yeah, with the people, we can have all that stuff. How? With the people. We can have all that stuff where people say, oh, man, we would love for you to have the temple in the city. And I say, we can. We can. How? With the money we giving Uncle Sam, all we got to do is give something consistently. And when you do the numbers like that, you can be like, oh, this can be done. When the numbers can be done, we can have everything we talk about. We can have a full library. We can print everything. We can have a store where you'll see she-mags and turbans. We have classes all through the week, not just a Sunday school and a DAP class on Saturday. No, we're open 5 days of the week because we are a temple, a place of refuge. The Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. We're going to get you back into the habit of learning. We're going to get you back into the habit of love learning to learn. This is what I'm resurrecting my people to. This ain't for me to live no certain life or to get no car or to get no stupid house. I don't care about none of those things. I care about the liberation of my people and educating my people. And I went to academia to hone all these skills to be able to say, okay, I can't just keep working for all these other people. I just can't keep working for these companies and being used up and taking my ideas. And we have these meetings and everything I talk about, they instill it. And you don't get credit for none of the stuff. Or, oh, they give you a little small bonus, but they take your whole program. They take all your ideas and implement it. So why? And I figured out a way to do things on my own. The small little people that I deal with in Arizona is not even melanated. They're European. And I teach their children. I tutor their children on the basketball court, in the classrooms. I mentor them. All that. This is the part that hurts my heart when my noble Malik was saying you should have some of your professors come on there. Yes, I do. I could, but I don't think it's going to prove nothing. I think I should be all the proof in the pudding because I look like you. You can research everything I'm saying, and we don't need a stamp from somebody that don't look like us. I don't want to put that image on us like we got to get stamped by someone that don't look like us. The stamp should be me, and I have the same education and the wisdom, and my heart is pure. I should be the stamp. I'm the one that stand up against any of that, and say, well, I hear you, but that ain't valid. So that's why I don't feel good about none of those things. But I hear people. I hear them, but I already proven it. I already shown videos. I already shown that. So I don't need to be stamped by no European, no disrespect, no Albion, no Trinidite. I don't need that. And an individual be coming that's only a 32 and 33 degree Mason. To be honest, they're not even going to speak over me. This is what I know. It'd be hard to do that. They'll be like, well, why would you want me to come speak and you 99 and I'm only 30 and 32? A lot of them will humbly bow out. This is what I know when gratitude comes into place. I'm telling you what I know. Gratitude comes into place, be like, I don't want to overstep my boundaries. They're like, and this is what I get with a lot of my professors. They're like, why? They're like, don't they know you graduated from here? They're like, so what else do you need? That's the dilemma with our people. We always need somebody that don't look like us to stamp us. Just like Fard Muhammad, David Muhammad, or some light skin. We always go to that level. We shouldn't have to. We should be able to use our own figures and put them up against anything, no matter our people or someone else, and say, no, we using this. This is the tool. Why? And this is the research. This is the history. We don't need nothing else. We don't need nothing else to come and confirm what this man is saying. Because what this man is saying has already been fact-checked. This man, you can look this man at his background. This man already has the degrees in what he's saying. You can look up videos on his YouTube page, and he have Europeans giving credit to Noble Drew Ali on his 135th birthday. He have the European telling you that they're not Jews, they Anglo-Saxons. He have all these on his page. What more confirmation would a brother need but me to see your brother in that image? And that's why I say we clearly don't love ourselves in a way, because we got to get confirmation from somebody else that don't look like us. And say, oh, they don't believe Sheik will bring the European man. And Sheik got the same water we got, but bring him with the same water and buy all this water out while Sheik here with all his cases. We got to bring this man in. He going to bring all his cases to show that Sheik water is the same or just as good. Sheik selling his for less, and we going to buy all his out while Sheik with all his cases. This is what I be talking about. Why people watch me go through my academic endeavors. Why when people saw me graduate with my degrees. What other confirmation we need? People know my background in all walks of life, This is what I be telling people. I said, how? And I've been through the fire. Everybody that know me know I've been through the fire. And what? On all levels, from spiritually to academics. And real life, everybody that know that. So why do we need to have a stamp from somebody else that don't look like us when your brother is the shrine? I always say this. When I done gathered and compiled all the manuals, here it is, I done gathered and compiled a plethora of books, and none of my people get them. We don't share them, we don't talk about them. We get confused by these old men talking semantics. We don't have time for that. This is what I tell people. It's like, why do we need confirmation by somebody that don't look like us? I'll wait, because the prophet and the angel come from amongst your own people. I'll wait. This is what I tell people. How can Europeans look up my background and want me to come speak and lecture to them, but my own people don't do the same? I don't act inferior. I don't act like I know more. I tell all my people, I've went and learned something, and now I'm ready to come back and bring it to my people as a poor righteous teacher. Not that I like the analogy of being poor, because ain't nothing poor about me, but in that analogy as a 5%er per se, to come back and teach the truth, regardless if it fill a room or clear it up. because 85% of the world is dumb and blind. 10% of the world know the truth and won't tell it. I'm telling you, I'm right here. I don't need confirmation from no one that don't look like me. Just like our elder, John Henry Clark. It says, I only debate my equals. All others I teach. It's no pissing contest. I say your life must develop to all this mental and spiritual. And then it turns to holistic mathematics. Then the light slow down. This is what I'm telling people. Like the work has been done. Like the prophet, he built a house, the furniture is in it. All we got to do is live in it. This is what I tell people. Everybody that know me, know the work has been done. You can get a professor, anybody, they'll be like, man, the work has been done with this young man. I'm telling you from no biasness. I know this. I don't care if you a Mason. I don't care if you a imam. I don't care if you some misnomer Hebrew Israelite. I don't care if you a Prince Hall Mason. I don't care if you none of those. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I can get your manuals to show exactly that you either sincerely wrong or you have a motive. This is what I'm telling my brothers and sisters. We have to come to the day to wake up and support something that's real. How? And put some money behind something and see what happens. We are under the religious laws. The religious laws trump everything. I try to bring people together. We can do this, family. We don't have to do nothing extra. I break things down very simple, just like we have a choice. Everything is a choice, just like who you are. When we talk about the SF 181 form pertaining to ethnicity, when I ask a person, you're gonna fill out Negro because you don't know. You are educated, you don't feel strong enough, you don't feel prideful enough to defend who you are from love, regardless of what anybody say, because no one can arbitrarily explain who you are. You must know, you must tell you. So when these things are pushed in front of your face and you don't know how to properly defend yourself and how to properly fill things out, then you are lost due to the lack of knowledge because you refuse to learn. That's a sin. I'm here as a brother, as a friend, telling you that the system is set up for people that know who they are, can also sign who they are, can also divert their funds and support their religious and charitable contribution of their choice and get taxes and receipts and build the infrastructure. And we don't have to say, oh, we got to go to these faith-based initiatives, all these federal mandated programs that's not going to teach you the truth. That's going to hold a lot of your books back. Like a lot of the book burning things. You get rid of things, you burn them. So now they burn you mentally. How? By charging books a grip. Remember, I told y'all this book, I can't show it, I'll get shadow banned again. This book is called Without Sanctuary. Go on Amazon and see how much this book costs right now. And I've been telling people this. I just stopped doing it for a while. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna stop telling people when books are gonna go up to astronomical numbers and keep them unaffordable to the average man because of what's in it. I used to tell everybody this when they go, they'd be like, how you know this? Because I connected to the reading list. I'm an educator. That's why I know. Anything that's historical facts is going to go up astronomically. It goes up astronomically. And I show people this. I have a full library. Just like the Jim Crow Museum. It's so much history. It's so much things that you can see like, damn, all I got to do is use our funds. Like, wait a minute, and get a tax and receipt? What am I complaining about? I'm giving all my money to Uncle Sam. It don't run the United States. It sits in the private banking system. Damn, the Burning Bush Tabernacle is a private banking system. Why? Because they can give me a tax and receipt. Oh, snap. So you telling all of us that's friends and family can support this brother and we can have our temple and school and be under our religious laws and the religious laws trump anything else? Yeah. The religious right of the indigenous people, Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, House Joint Resolution 75. It's so much more that I can indulge in. The religious laws trump even the Levitical codes. Leviticus 25 and 10, when your freedom, the fez is the liberty bell. The soft fez, when you turn it inside out, all this becomes the gong. When you understand certain things, we just don't use the tools. And I'm right here with my brothers and sisters, and ain't nothing else I can say. I hope my brothers and sisters get into the point of understanding what we're doing Nothing what we teaching wrong. If your kid going to school or college or history and all that, all the history that they thought they know, I bet you I give your kid some history and they talk about it in school. I guarantee you the teachers will call and be like, may I talk to you? The school and the information they gave is on a college level, is on scholarship level. Who is their tutor? I guarantee you. When we start showing things and I start making things plain, when I show them and implement them in everything, and show them that all this science is yours, geography, mathematics, all this stuff, when it's taught the right way, when you use the tools the right way, and when you have somebody that look like you, to teach you, it changes everything. It changes the dynamics of everything. It does. And when you teach the science in the right way of understanding, it makes a difference. We need this for our babies. We need this for our men. We need this for our women. We need this for our children. My library is so extensive. The world, my brothers and sisters need access to my library. I'm telling you, just the small library I have and the information, it needs to be spread. And we need a brick and mortar. And we can support our brick and mortar. Every one of you on here can support our brick and mortar. Everyone. And it can be done with love. Because we ain't taking our babies from no public schools. They can go to all the schools they want, but we have something to give them to compare to. So when they're going for those worldly degrees, or when they're going for this and that and the other, they can go in the belly of the beast and say, aha, now I'm doing this. What about this? What about this? What about this? And then you can defend your plight from peer-reviewed scholarly research the same way I did. And you can start helping your people. You can be of a good service because everything is there in the libraries, in history, everything is recorded. Everything from who you are, from defending yourself, from biblical history, from what it is, from linguistics, from all these truths that we're able to give our people, you can get it right here at the BBT. And we can have our first brick and mortar with the people. So with that being said, once again, man, I hope something I said have caught someone's ear. I hope someone has feel good about what we're doing and support our temple with monetary and tangible donations and your time. I really do. I really do, brothers and sisters, support our temple and school instead of just holding on or being a spectator, be a participator. Subscribe to the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, and you will see our YouTube channel. You can see all ways to donate. We have PayPal, we have Zelle, we have Venmo, and if people are serious, that's how we ask for assistance. We have all those ways, and I hope you be consistent with it. And everybody donations come with something. Anything you want, when you give donation to the BBT, I'll give it, especially the literature. And I give gifts because I give gratitude for people using something that they work hard for and put it in front of something that we all say we believe in. And once we come together and put some pennies behind something, they become dollars. And then hold me accountable. And I know what we're going to do. Because my heart is pure, just like your heart is pure. And we can see things materialize. Everyone is not scamming, because I haven't got scammed by a person. I ain't gave nobody no money that they said they were going to make a school and collected millions. I haven't got caught up in that. I don't know if you have. I haven't got caught up with somebody on the internet saying they're going to nationalize me or denationalize me, and they got some fake magic paper that you can drive around with or you can squat in houses. I ain't never got caught up in that. If anybody can look my background up, I've been a leader of helping people, prisons and all that. So now, once again, we have the attention of people all over the world. I'm saying our people can help with donations, and everybody can get a tax-exempt receipt. And once everybody get connected to what we're doing and we share this with our family and friends and the algorithm pick up, it can be just as popular as everything else. Nobody have to tune in to no adult acting a fool or acting niggerly. You can tune in and be like, oh, look what we established with just small donations. Brothers and sisters can come to our Moorish meetings. Brothers and sisters can come in town when they travel and say, hey, man, I want to go to the temple and visit. We're going to go for the weekend, get a room, come to class physically, meet Sheik, go pick up my feds, do some real things. This is what this is about. I mean, we don't have to worry about nobody collecting and putting it in their pockets. We can have something that's so dope if the people just say, you know what, I'm with it. And we can start today. And it can be done so simple and be like, damn, this is not even hard. And then once you see everything that comes with it, you'll be like, man, every time I give my monthly donation, she gives me so much wisdom, and he break it down. You have access to me when you're making decisions, when you should not make decisions, certain things, because I take that in the importance, because I try to deal with the divine. I want to unharden your heart and get you understanding first. So all students, even though I have members, which is my muftis, but I want students to know this. I want students to know the basics. I want students to have all my books and manuals to be like, wait a minute, this man done made this so simple. And before you go outside of anything, before you get caught up in this and that and everything else, I'll keep you in a systematically order. That's what you do when you're dealing with structure. When you deal with structure, it cleans you up. Your strength become your weakness become your strength. We do a SWOT analysis. I'm telling y'all, this stuff works. So this is why I'm asking my brothers and sisters to come to class, subscribe to our Temple and School page, and support any way you can consistently. That's why I ask all my brothers to hit me up, hit our Temple and School up, or send me an email, and I'll connect you right to our muftis. And I want you to join us privately on StreamYard and be our guest as we build our private community, because in a minute we're going to be private Zoom. And we're going to be off social media, and we just give it snippets. Why? Because we have our physical temple. I won't be in charge of going live anymore. That's where I want to get to, where I don't want to just have all my phones up. I want to get to the point where, boom, it's broadcasted all over the world, and people can come, and we can see the results of what these donations that people bringing in. Not for me to live no way and get no car and get no Lamborghini or get no Benz or wear some designer clothes. I don't like that. I make my own clothes. My Empress made this. I don't care about none of that stuff, no designer. Everything that I have, it comes from in-house because I have purchasers and wholesale license, so I get things by the bulk. All my muftis, they be morally fresh just as I try to be. Why? Because I try to share everything that I have with them. They'll tell you. You go on every one of my muftis page, they got over 20 suits, I guess. I mean, I'm sure. But that's why I say here at the BPT, once again, man, we've been here for 2 hours. That's my time. But please support the temple. Email me, Goodman, KHARY @gmail.com. That's my Gmail. My office number is 602-473-8767. Please send me a text. I'm getting ready to go to my other job, so please send me a text. If you want to send a donation, you can send it to that phone number. That's connected to my Zelle. If you got PayPal, hit me up. I'll give you the information. If you want to do Venmo, it's BBT Science Temple, Burning Bush Tabernacle. You can see it. It's me at the podium. So if people really want to deal with me, let me know. And if you give a donation, I want to put my books in your hand. I'm doing an offer right now. You can get all my books PDF, at least 11 books that I gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared. I was doing it for a $40 donation. One of my muftis said, man, do it for 50. Hell, people shouldn't mind us giving you a 50 ball for all those 11 books. He was like, man, he gave these to his kids. He was like, why you haven't been got this man books? All the scholars in history making it plain about the feds. It's so much powerful history there. So if you want to support me today in our temple, you can get our books. If you don't even have that to give, if whatever you have to give, I will still give manuscripts to you because it's a suggested donation. And if you don't have it and you have something and you're serious about what you're doing and you're not picking rotten apples up off the ground, but you're really giving something of good and that's all you have, I'm going to give you the same thing as I would give someone else if they had what I'm asking for and you don't, if it's from your heart. Why? Because it's just a suggested donation. And I'm dealing with ministry right here. I'm not dealing with a dollar amount. I would like for that $50 donation. I would like that $40 donation for all my books. But if you don't have it, I would give it to you for a smaller price, all my books PDF, because it's wisdom. I wouldn't hold it back and say, oh, you don't got that, no, you can't get it. If you sincere and be like, man, all I got is $20. I want all your books, brother. I'm going to give them to you, all my ebooks. You can download them to your tablet. You can go to Authors Max and Staples and print it and bind it. Why? Because I want you to have it. I'm not going to be biased like that. But if you're sincere, I'm cool with it. But if you're not sincere, that has nothing to do with me. Then you're not tricking me because I'm not worried about that. I want you to have it. But I really, really want my brothers and sisters to please get into the habit of supporting the BBT so we can do something good. We do need funds to do what we're doing. And I tell brothers, hold me accountable. Please hold me accountable. Just as much as you would donate each year, I would donate it. I promise y'all. And we can do everything that we say. So please, family, if you have it on your heart to support us, subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube channel and Facebook page at the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. And we have systematic classes every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday, we have book club. Saturday we have adapt class. Sunday we have Sunday school, and we work out Saturday and Sunday in the mornings. Once we get this thing figured out, we're going to start having biblical studies and Quranic studies every Wednesday. Once we figured all that out, we'll get there. But once again, all my family and friends, I need y'all support. If you don't have a fez, I have them. If you are more and you want to learn how to tie your turban or your shemag, I have classes to show you how to do these things. If you want a tunic, cotton or silk, I have them, which is our Moorish American retire. Go on my company page, moorishhaberdasher.com, get a dope shirt, purchase some. We have dope attire on there. I have a whole brand called A Jelani in memory of my baby brother, Akil Jelani Goodman Bey, that was murdered in the city of Flint. We got to get another brand of polo shirts because they all sold out. But we have workout regalia, all type of brands, Versace. We have a lot for the culture. Check out my PDF books. That's books with a Z, where you can download all these books on your tablet or your phone. Check that out. Check out bindedbooks.com. All these are in-house companies. Check out Herbs of Mayat, our tea company, and check out ALO Design Pros that do all our web designing. And also we have our own music, our brother Brian Hicks Bay, and his new album, Transportation of Raw Materials. Check the album out. Our Minister of Health and Wealth, Malik Riel, we work out every week, on the weekends. He's down and out right now, handling some other business, recovering, but brothers are stepping up. Our other Mufti, Lamarck, he's doing something early in the morning, starting something with seniors and with mothers and aunties, trying to get them to get up and just get to move in their bodies. And he started doing that this morning. So everything in our culture, we provide. And so once again, brothers and sisters, thank you again. And please, don't be afraid to talk about finances. Don't be afraid to support the BBT, because I can give everyone a tax-exempt receipt. And everyone, when you give a donation to the BBT, I will give right back to you. Any piece of literature, any of my books you give a donation, I'm going to give. And brothers and sisters, go on our websites. If you are more and you love the fez, get the history of the fez. Get a fez from a sheikh that can anoint it. Get your turbans, get all your Moorish American regalia, get all your books, all your information. I'm not dissing Amazon, but you don't have to go to Amazon for nothing, because everything that Amazon has that costs a grip, I've converted to a PDF and we can bind it and print it. I'm the source for all your information. So please seek me out. Even if you go on our company page, is my PDF books, that's books with the Z, and bindedbooks.com, and something might be a little bit too expensive for you, all you got to do is inbox me if you connected to me. That's what the whole purpose of being a student and then transferring to a member when the heart is right. But I want all brothers and sisters to be students. And with a small charitable contribution, you connected to everything. That's what I ask my brothers and sisters. We have a real enrollment package. I have a real syllabus. When brothers and sisters become members, I give you a whole plethora of books for you to learn, all the Quranic study guides, the Unto Thee I Grant, all other books that go with it, other books that I recommend for members, and I teach them all privately. I teach them all privately with my members. A lot of stuff we have for the public, and I've been doing it for a long time. And I say, come on, brothers and sisters, we do things privately. We're trying to bring brothers together so brothers don't get caught up in the mist, because it's getting ready to happen again. All these characters get ready to pop out again, because that's what's getting ready to happen. Everybody know I see things before it happen. That's why we can never be shut down. I've been illuminating this stuff from day one. Look at any of my YouTube page from the beginning. Check it out and tell me, have I been consistent? I need y'all help. So once again, any questions, anything, brothers, hit me up, email me, text me. Y'all got my information. Please support our temple and school, and anything you need. Don't move without checking. Don't move because you're excited. Ask questions. Come to class, please. Even my friends that know me, that went to school with me, it's time to resurrect ourselves. It's time to stand with something that we know is real on all levels and give all that slave mentality back. Give the religious slavery, give the historical slavery, give all the scary, all that black stuff, all those things that's lower energy back. And let's do something that's real, and let's plant our flag. with the funds that we're giving to Uncle Sam willingly. We can divert just a small tittle of that. And anybody with any truth in them and light, you can ask anyone, and they say, yes, that man is telling you the all truth. There's no reason to talk about T.D. Jakes and Joel Osteen and all those people that got all these big, I call them auditoriums. Why? Because they ran off people with donations. And if they got any grants, they don't have to pay that back. They ain't got loans. So it shows you that to be in a big arena and have all this tax-exempt money is there. Who? Because it's the people. Everybody in there not multi-millionaires. We talk about regular people on a large scale. So if we just get a remnant or a tittle of the people that believe, that understand under the sound of my voice, history and who we are, we can do just as much. We can have our own magnanimous institution. And it can't be destroyed because we'll be standing on principle. I'll be showing you who we are. And any Negro, African-American, or European that's a Mason, they're going to have to give homage. They're going to have to. They're going to have to because I got your charter. And a European know exactly who I am when it comes to these degrees. I'm telling y'all, this is the order of Melchizedek. It's nothing to argue about. When it comes to academia and science and history, you're dealing with the right one. It's just what it is. It's no disrespect to no one's level of wisdom or no one's level of understanding. It's not. It's just what it is. I know this. Matter of factual. And now we have to stand with something and say, this is what it is. And let's do this and let's take it to the next level. The next level is us putting our finances behind it, getting the tax-exempt receipt. The next level is our brick and mortar. The next level is our library. The next level is our classes. The next level is us to be doing this on a big level. That's the whole mission. That's the whole mission, y'all, to resurrect us back to our original state. That's what this is about, family. And we can do that once we okay with putting a couple dollars behind something, instead of just giving it away, instead of just smoking it all up, instead of just drinking it all up, instead of just eating it all up, instead of just dressing all up on the outside. What are we going to sacrifice to have all the things that we want? This is what I ask my brothers and sisters. What are we going to sacrifice to have all the things that we want? Because if we're not willing to sacrifice a tittle of this money, then Ecclesiastes chapter 10 is a fallacy. Wine is made for laughter, but money trumps all. What I'm saying is, if we put a couple dollars behind it and way the system is set up, we use our money, our tax-exempt status, to build our infrastructure. And I give everybody a tax-exempt receipt. How hard is that? How hard is that? Because you're giving it away already. Tell me how hard is that? Anybody that say they love me. It got to be trust. And that's the dilemma with misnomer black people. Oh, he going to get rich. I'm not finna get rich. I ain't nothing. I ain't nothing. I said we can build our infrastructure and have our temples and schools. That's what I'm telling you. And teach and have a library where we don't have to be saying, well, someone hides something from us. If anybody that look like you say they hide something from us, I'll tell you that they not. And you haven't been introduced to it. And if you want to know, come right here. Because this is the right science. And now we can build our infrastructure where we can gather. We got the internet, we can broadcast it, but now we need our infrastructure. For you can set up, for you can see the classroom, for you can see the library. For you can see the history, so you can see the art. So you can see what our funds is doing. So you can see how we can operate, so we can teach our kids have classes. So you can see the men that I deal with be mentors. Teaching our kids, teaching our young ladies who they are in history. Showing them how all these tools, that's what you get at the BBT. And we can do it, how? With the money that we give Uncle Sam willingly. And nobody can deny what your brother is saying today, because all of us got a job. Every last one of us. And even if you're a drug dealer or a hustler or entrepreneur, you can still put money in the pulpit and it can go for the good. This is what I'll be telling y'all about Sopranos and about the Jewish culture and Orthodox culture and Catholics per se. You look at these things and you don't see how things is ran because you don't know the laws that tax exempt for the federal government. The church per se can still do business, but you do things as a religious community. And it fall on deaf ears to all my brothers and sisters. We be too worried about some misnomer Arab or the stores or some misnomer this and where some European come from and some Yakub stupid stuff instead of understanding exactly who we are and using the powers, using the laws, and using our paper money. This is what it hurts my heart, family. As I close, I'm going to continue to say this over and over because we've been going for a minute. It hurts my heart when we have a mission. And as the mission pick up And I started doing lectures with Europeans and teaching at their houses, and I never once get invited to our own family houses. I don't get the consistent support from my own family, which is okay. But I know when you have something good, it's other powers that be that go against family members. See, this is what I know, because the Holy Spirit and the Satanic Spirit only works through man. So when you're doing these things, everybody will say you're good. But when it comes down to putting some money in front of something and behind something on the side consistently, I know we got some mentality. And it's no disrespect to no one. Why? Because we give our money willingly to the church. And I ask you, what have it done? What has the church done for your community, for you anyway, that if you have this in your family, we don't put the same attention to it? I ask my brothers and sisters, how? I want to ask my brothers and sisters, how do we think we can have a brick and mortar if we don't support it with our tax dollars that we give away? How? How can somebody say that any university library or school or any library is bigger or more, how can I say, intense than the one that your brother have? Because my library is over 1 million books and documents. And I've lectured with academia. And I made Europeans sit on their hands, and brothers. Why don't we put a couple dollars behind it, family and friends, and our family can have our own stamp? Because if I'm saying anything wrong historically, biblically wise, fact check me. And I welcome that. And I bet you can. Don't come with no emotion. Come with facts. You can. So if that's the case, you can say, my brother, my cousin, my uncle, especially my mutis, my sheik, has never lied. He's been battle tested. That's what you should want. So why don't we support our own family? I'm asking brothers and sisters this. I'm just waiting before we close, because I done been on here for a minute. I got time today. That's why I said I done came back home, and a company I work for asked me what I work for under contract. We'll say, well, will you just work under contract? I say, well, damn. I'm like, well, why I can't do this with my people? Why I can't go to these churches, to these schools with all these misnumbered black people and these people that don't look like me want me to mentor their kids, want me to come on the damn Indian Reserve and teach their kids, want me to come to the YMCA and teach under a contract, want me to come to the Youth Development Institution and teach under contract. And I can't even teach my own family? Want me to bring my own books and share my library? Like, this is asinine. This is what I'm saying. We'll never have nothing. I ask that why we go to church, we smile, but somebody in your family do this. I ask my family and friends, why don't we support consistently? Because the only way we'll have something is the same way that these establishments have something. How? By the money that you're giving them. And then the next question I ask my family and friends, do you get a tax exempt receipt from these establishments when you give them your money? Yes or no? Are you able to use the tax exempt status to do things for the church? Yes or no? If not, then why don't you support your brother? You don't want to see your brother doing the same thing? I ask my brothers and sisters this over and over, especially my family, because I know my family love me, but damn, no disrespect. How can we have something and everybody knows who I am, what I come with, what I have to offer? How can we have a brick and mortar and we give our money to Uncle Sam and we think we're getting a tax return, and I can give everybody a tax exempt receipt, and we can have a brick and mortar and everything, how people support it. Now you got access to everything. I ask that question from everybody that got a job. I ask that question, and then it's like falling on deaf ears. But when I teach this with my Europeans, when I come in their religious houses, they be like, oh, man, write notes. They be like, oh, man, we can do this. Yes. And then I show them that they all ministers and how I set them up in the right way under the organization. Like I try to teach my people. And any tax law person would be like, well, this man is telling you 100% facts. The religious laws trump everything. He's showing you that you can support your religious and charitable contribution of your choice, but you just giving it to Uncle Sam. This brother could have been had a school. This brother could have been had a temple. How? With his family and friends. That's how. And he gives you a tax exempt receipt. So when people say they love what you're doing and it takes some finances to do it, how? I ask people like this when people ask me things, and it's no disrespect to nobody. When people ask me for things, for books and things, and I give them things right on the fly, do they pay me? Do they give me a donation? Do they say, man, a workman is due his hire? Most times, no. That's why I don't do that a lot. When I do it on the college campus, they be looking it up like, man, this man taking time out of his day to not only go in his files and give me something that I would pay for. Now, if somebody give you something for free, something that your black bleepity bleep will pay for, why don't this man ain't worth a simple freaking donation? If you can look up and see what this man is giving you something for as a PDF or whatever for you can read, because the knowledge should be what you want, and you would pay for it. And I say you can print it and bind it at Office Max or Staples, and we can print it and bind it. And it's a price on that. And this brother gave it to you for free because he loved you. It ain't worth a donation. I ask that question, because if you say it is, then why you don't? If a person say, man, yeah, if I come to your temple, man, $50 a month, $50 a week, that ain't nothing. And then when I ask for a donation and I say I give you a taxes and receipt and your donations, you get things with that, because I give honor when people support with their finances. Why don't it happen? This is what I tell families. I say if families don't respect what they have in their family, they always go outside to things. Sometimes it be the husband, sometimes it be the wives, but I know how things work. A person can be like, well, Dan, when you talk about nobody, I just know how things work. I've been around long enough. I know how the lower self works. People and families don't want to see their brother, their cousin, their uncle, or their husband in that light, that they look at someone else, and the people that they think is so powerful, they look at your own brother in that light, because they don't know a prophet and an angel come from amongst your own people. We don't even know that. Malcolm X was sweet red. This is what I be laughing at our brothers and sisters. We be having things in our own house and we go give everything outside to these establishments. That's why we'll never have nothing. That's why these people just change you and just talk about a whole bunch of stuff and be twisting stuff. Calling you a Christian, which is a cretin, which is derogatory. We don't even know nothing because we're not historians of nothing. These is facts. These is facts. So when I talk to my brothers and sisters, once again, when we trying to build infrastructure and everybody say they love me, how can we build something? I ain't a multimillionaire. If I was, it'd be there. But how can we build something and you have family and friends, and the family and friends don't support monetarily to build the message, to spread the message? Why would we just wait till somebody get to the level and say, well, he's there now, I'm gonna jump in? Why? I ask family and friends, I ask them all, especially if you have a job. If you have a job, what I'm telling you should be real simple then. Oh, I want to support, but I don't have no money. Yes, you do. You're giving it away to Uncle Sam. Why? Because when you got a job, you put on that job and on there how much you want Uncle Sam to take out your check. Ask me, am I lying? If you say yes, then you know I'm telling the truth. And we can divert that. And until we understand this, and until we get to the level of putting some money behind things, like my dad said, it ain't gonna never happen for our family. And I'm gonna be pulled away to other places. That's why I always say I'm gonna be gone in a minute. When a lot of my professors and a lot of these Scottish Rite Masons, like my Mufti Malik, be saying, you should have one of them come here. And I said, I shouldn't have to do that. That's all I'm saying. But I agree, we have these conversations and we're not disrespecting each other. But I said, what I need to do is just go teach them that want me to teach and want me to stop doing this. That's my outcome in it. My outcome is not to tell them and have them come confirm what I'm saying, which I am the confirmer, which I am 99 degrees, and I'm telling you they're 32 degrees. That's an insult. That's just like having an elementary student come try to lecture over a PhD student. I mean, a PhD professor. They're not going to do that. They're not going to step out of line. I'm telling you that. Why? Because most of them Freemasons. The only people that have, the only person that have some stupid ego like that is a goofy Negro, a goofy Freemason, or a Negro that got some Black American education that ain't research who I am, and to come with their lower self and get exposed and get illuminated with the lower science. And then the ego will have them puffed up in pride, but they'll get destroyed. By who? Any referee, no matter what the color it is. That's what I'm telling my brothers and sisters. That's what I'm telling us. And until we get to understand that I am their father, no disrespect, and they're sons of a Muslim, I don't need a son to come teach what the father teach. They only gonna know what I teach. Understand what I'm telling you. A Mason, a professor, they only gonna know what was being given to them. And then when it comes to academia, it's Eurocentric and Negrocentric propaganda. So I'm right here as the fact checker, and I need my family and I need my friends. I need brothers to support. I need my family to support financially. I give you a taxes and receipt. What more do you want? You giving it up to Uncle Sam anyway. This should be spread across all family. Be like, we giving our money away to Uncle Sam. Why we ain't supporting Kareem? Oh, we don't like him. Oh, we don't like what he said. Why? Because you're under religious dogma. That's right. Because you're under Eurocentric and Negrocentric propaganda. That's why. Because you've been taught the wrong way. And especially people that's been taught the right way and revert to bull crap. You the worst one. I tell people this all day. When you see an atrocity happening, you go and sit in the crowd, you just as worse as the person that's doing it. Why? Because you are participating with your time. Especially if you're giving that time and they giving this time, you have no balance. You all off. You can't be a truth seeker if you're being forced to listen to some crap that you know can easily be illuminated. This is what I know. And we don't even split that. We don't even try to save our own people with what? When people say they believe and understand the Bible. Well, I'm telling you, you don't. Because we can go Bible for Bible, and I don't give a damn which one you have. Most of y'all only had a King James version anyway. Most of y'all don't have the lexicons to correct the language anyway. So most people going to be off. These is facts. You know it, and I know it. Your hermeneutics, your hermeneutics going to be totally off. Everything is going to be off. They're going to revert to preaching, just like my mama said. What all they gonna do when they deal with me? They're gonna try to revert to preaching. We ain't got time for that. You can't just start preaching and polyparroting. Let's deal with it. And you don't want to do that because most of our brothers has went to seminary. That's how you've been trained like a dog. No disrespect. None of these brothers is educated. They went to seminary because if they did be educated like myself, you would have to speak the truth, and the Holy Spirit would have came in your body and took over, and you would spread the truth. No matter if it fills a room up or clear it out, you would take that opportunity to be what? A truth seeker and a truth teller in the midst of all your brothers that's charlatan that you can prove, especially if they took an oath. They all know it. They can't stand next to this, especially when we're talking about history and spirituality. So once again, I ask my people, who being lied to? Who promulgating lies? You can't put it on no white man. You got to put it on your husband, your wife, especially if you got people in the family that call themselves preachers and teachers that study the Bible. How can you arbitrarily explain the scriptures and it's only one law and it's only one science? How? You're going to revert to preaching. You're going to revert to preaching, and you know it. And that's why the Bible says, woe to you lying lawyers and woe to you lying preachers that confuse my flock. You know it, and I know it. So once again, if you have somebody in your family that can illuminate the teachings, that's a teacher, that's a holy man, that's written the science, that's educated, why don't we support that institution? It's something that's holding you back. And I'm talking to family. What is it? That's why I ask everybody, be 100 with me. I respect people that tell me the truth and then have one foot in and one foot out. Tell me why you don't support me. Is it your wife? Is it your kids? Is it your husband? Or what? For I can know how to deal with people, because I know how people will hug you and stab you in the back or say they love you, be talking dog crap about you in the car. I know how ego goes. This is what I tell people. So if people love me and we have something good in our family, in our community, why don't we support it consistently? I always ask these questions. If a person's so heavy and they understand the Bible and they say they're a minister, let's have a conversation on biblical truth, not semantics. Let's show you that the misnomer black man is the father of civilization proved by the Bible alone. Let's deal with first century writers like Godfrey Higgins that's going to agree with what I'm saying. Most of our brothers have no idea what I'm talking about because they're not biblical scholars. They're not biblical historians. They can't teach you the biblical history of it. They can preach to you, but then in the Bible, in Titus, it says it's qualification to be a pastor, a rabbi, or any of those that's denoting to a spiritual head. Once again, I'm asking my people, I need our family and friends support. You know how to support the BBT. Anybody that give donations, I give you a tax and receipt. And in one calendar year, we can have our brick and mortar. So that's all I got, man. I got to get out of here. Oh, yeah. Okay, if I got to get out of here. But later today, about like 5 when I get back, I'm going to go over the document I didn't get to go over, white by law. I break all this biblical history and truth down, and we still woe to sleep with these games. Especially with my family and friends. What's going to happen when the flesh go? When the flesh die, who's going to do you a eulogy? And everybody say, oh, I got my brother in this. Your brother should do you a eulogy. What's going to happen when you die and you got a will and you don't have a trust and you don't set things up the right way? These are all the things that can be done that we teach at our temple and school. And on Sunday, I have Sunday school. I give you everything for your body. Why don't we support it, family? Well, tell me why. When people say, oh, I'm so this and I'm so that. Tell me why we afraid to put a couple dollars behind what we do, family and friends, and so-called Moors. Because if we go to church, we support that. What? With time and some money. I know we do. So how can we build an infrastructure to at least, I don't say compete, but to at least be on that playing field when we say brothers and sisters came together and this is the institution. This is what we have. This is what our time management have done. This is what this brother's done when these offers has came in. He didn't go buy no cars. He didn't go move into no Beverly Hills, none of that. This man did exactly what he done because he's content with his mission. I went to academia for this. All my life is ministry. That's why we're supposed to have. How? Once the people get on the same frequency, family and friends, it's over. Once we have our brick and mortar, everything is over. It would be no biasness. We would teach systematically from the right way and no one be able to shut it down. These is facts. So once again, I love y'all. Support our temple and school. I love everyone. Y'all got my information. Hit me up. Let's have conversations. Let's keep this cipher going on. I'll be traveling back to my city of Flint at the beginning of the month for one of my family gatherings and then my class reunion. And then I'll be going to my Mufti estate of St. Louis. Like I said, we're building, and I hope I'm able to build with my friends and family. I hope I'm not taken, because when you build a community and people see what you're doing, they gravitate to it, especially if this is what people have been looking for. And I know I have something good. I know I have something good that can materialize in something real life. We are a real infrastructure. This is what I'm telling my brothers and sisters. And I've been through the fire. All I need is y'all support. It's over. And if the people are okay with putting a little couple dollars behind something and then holding me accountable, just like we hold anyone else, you know what's going to happen. Everything that the creator and everything that I say is going to happen. Why? Because it's Allah's will. And you know this. And sometimes people are afraid of success, but I ain't. I'm prepared for it. You should be prepared for it. I'm telling you, a couple dollars from everyone, I give everyone a tax and receipt, your life don't change. The stuff that you're doing don't change because you already given it to Uncle Sam. And if you have any other understanding, you know it. And that'd be way more than what I'm asking people of $100 a month. That'd be way more. If you understand what your brother is saying and you can hold me accountable. Y'all can hold me accountable because I know what's going on in the world. Y'all just afraid to talk about it. Y'all just afraid to talk about what's going on in the churches and the preachers. Nothing. Y'all just afraid to talk about how people just change things like they dictators. We afraid to talk about what's going on. Oh, well, don't touch my preacher. They just a man. All this stuff that's going on in the Church of God in Christ, especially in my city of Flint. And everybody just act oblivious to everything. But then they go right back to this mental crazy stuff with your own people. And you worried about something outside. We've been lied to. You've been lied to by your own preachers, by these own charlatans that's up there dancing and shuckling and jiving. And I blame our people. So once again, I love y'all. I need y'all support, family and friends. It's on us. It ain't nothing else I have to say. I love everyone. But I bet you can't nothing be proven. If you got ministers or preachers in your family, I bet you they won't never sit down and have a conversation. I bet you none of them preachers or whoever they promulgate won't sit down and have a conversation with me. I bet you they won't sit down and ask a biblical conversation. Is Jesus God? They'll start preaching. And I'll give you all Bible and break down. I'll break down till you can water wash away sin. They'll start saying a whole bunch of stupid preaching stuff. And I'll say, well, John baptized in physical water, didn't he? Well, John baptized in physical water was the whole purpose of Jesus getting baptized on the cross. And John said someone will come after me, baptized in fire and blood, didn't he? So what are you saying? You know what I'm saying. That's why the Bible says ye are gods. So everything these people be telling you is a whole bunch of bull crap, and it ain't based on the Bible. I bet you they won't sit down and have a conversation with me. Because I'm giving you all biblical scripture. I'm not giving you no Christian nothing. I'm not giving you no Cretan, no man, no retarded, or no fallacy. I'm giving you biblical history, the truth that you can sit down and have discussion, that we should be resurrecting ourselves from all walks of life, from spiritual to history to everything. And until we're able to do that, and until we're able to come as family and support our family, support our brother, our cousin, our uncle, whatever we say, we still gonna be lost. See, and that's what I say. America is a sovereign nation, not a corporation. I'm not even here to have that discussion with anyone, but everyone know my angle and what we're saying. I'm not even here to have that. Everybody should know, understand that. And whoever is 504 spaz out said America is a sovereign nation, not a corporation. I think everyone know that. We know it's not a sovereign citizen. Because no one by themselves is nothing. That's an oxymoron, but we know what a sovereign nation is. But when you have certain things, when you vote people in certain things, which I understand, it is a form of a corporation. When you understand how things are set up, especially how temples and schools are set up. So if you understand language and corporations in the context of what I'm saying, then a person will have to be corrected. And there's no disrespect on what nobody is saying. And that's why I tell a person, when a person can be illuminated with things, they can say, ah, or have that aha moment, or have that light bulb moment. Because when you say not a corporation, and then I say, well, okay, where I say the temple, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School is a corporation, a principality. And if people don't know how the temple is set up, then that's on them. That's why we always should be corrected on information and when we say things. Yes, America is a sovereign a nation, not a corporation, but that, I hope we just stay in context. But I understand when people spill out things, but that's cool. You know, that's why I say we always here to learn, and we always here to, not just say things out of context, from love and respect. Always. But when a person says America is a sovereign nation, not a corporation, well, I think every elementary student know that. We know sovereign nations. We know sovereign nation when you have armies and etc. and blah, 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 blah. We get that. We understand that. But I hope we also understand corporation. I hope we also, as a people operating today, as a principality, as a corporation, I hope brothers understand that duality. And if we don't understand that duality, then we need to be educated on that duality and how the temple was set up and how the Burning Bush Tabernacle and School is set up. If we don't know that concept, if we understand that concept, and once we educate it and illuminate it on that concept, then boom, Oh, you said it was just for me debate. I had this last night. They said America has no laws, just policies. Well, that's why I tell people to debate anything that shouldn't be debated is always a form of lower energy. That's why we could be educated on things. That's why I said I'll be on here for so long. I could be on here all day correcting things. Let me show y'all something real fast before we go. Oh, okay, I'm on good time. I got to be out here by 12. So I'll show you this. So you see this, the state booklet. So let me break some down. For brothers. When I talk about what people don't understand, I break a little bit of wisdom down. When I talk about organizing, when I talk about we don't debate. I've done this in academia. It's just what it is. When I tell people, when I hear things debating, I'm like, oh, there we go. That's the lower energy. What we do, we debate on things we're not matter-factual on. We don't debate things. We talk about organization. Watch this. So when we talk about corporation, watch this. So I greet everybody in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I got to give y'all this. I'm sorry. My Uber don't get here till I'm on good time. But I greet all Moors, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, blah, blah, blah. Honor to the great Father God, Allah, from the universe, our holy and divine, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, all that good stuff. We wish to expound on the Moorish Science Temple of America was declared a recognized free national government throughout the earth. Sometimes as Moorish Americans in this new age of era, they struggle on explaining who we are within such an ignorant and unconscious mind, you know, an unconscious and unconscious mind being based in the color of law, because that's what a lot of people be basing their understanding on. I'm like, yes, you might be sincere, but you're sincerely wrong. Ain't no other way to explain it. With individuals with being excited of wisdom, no disrespect, the concept of Christianity, but in reality, if we teach and do the great work as a government properly does, while running this ecclesiastical body politic and corporate, then people of all levels will understand by our works and deeds and maybe fulfill the divine national movement, because this is the divine national movement. Our prophet Noble Ali stated, remember, a beggar nation cannot attain to its highest spirituality. I would keep the Europeans here long enough to teach you how to run a government. Watch this. Watch this. So stop begging for what we should be working hard to retrieve, but retrieve it ourselves, because the prophet is keeping the so-called European here long enough to teach you how to run a government. Government. I know they did. That's why I tell it. All people got to do is come to class. I've done this in academia. That's why I said, you know, I know semantics. People play a game. So this pamphlet is for you to learn, to help you realize how serious the divine and national movement is, to expound on our mission, to uplift fallen humanity. That's it. All nations have missions to fulfill, and I will point out the missionaries. I hope you heard what I said. The missionaries, to make certain that those missions are taken care of. See, if you're a missionary, then if it's a mission, then there's certain people that's missionaries to make sure the mission is taken care of. That's why I say Moorish. Everything I have, I'm willing to share it with you. That's why we don't operate on what I think of what I heard. A precious value in understanding and knowledge of this free national government being incorporated under what? The Heard Smith revised status of the state of Illinois as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate. That's why the Vatican State was incorporated under this particular act since 1929. And in this pamphlet that I give, is written to the best of knowledge. And if you want to correct it, people can correct it from love. But you can't deny what I'm saying. Your own brother's been lied to. Look, watch I break down the definition of a state. I've been going 3 hours, man. I got to get out of here. I got to get some eat. I got to, what he saying? Oh, okay, I got to know. Okay. Thanks for the donations, everything. But let me give this to you. A state is a people permanently occupying a fixed territory, bound together by common law habits and customs into one body politic, exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty, and control over all persons and teachings within its boundaries, capable of making war and peace, and of entering into international relations with other communities of the globe. Still not catching what I'm saying. Will what stand in court? That's what I asked a person. That's what I'm glad he said it. Now we get into the meat and the potatoes of a person's dilemma. What will stand in court? So what we're talking about, what will stand in court? Because I love these conversations. If a person is talking about what? Are you talking about some sovereign citizen, European, Roger Elvick, paradigm, militia stuff? So what are we talking about? What will stand in court? What are we doing in court? That's the whole question. So I have to ask the question back to my brother, because once again, we've been misconstrued thinking we go to court and do all this. So what are we doing in court? What will hold up in court? Because no more don't have no corporate debt. That's a fallacy. No more have no corporate debt. So what will hold up in court? I'm asking, what will you be going in court to hold up? This is what I'm asking. And we'll leave it right there. I'm not even gonna get into the body politic and the origin of state and all that, because it's in the state booklet. I want to see where the brother going, but will it stand in court? In court of what? In court of what law? And what type of court? Thinking we're not under federal jurisdiction and we are sovereign rights. Thinking we just, I think we just missed everything what I just said earlier. I said the religious laws trump everything. I think so. This is what I'm saying. I'm breaking it down. That's why I tell a person, if you've been to a lecture, I'm giving the information. If we have ears to hear and eyes to see, like I'm breaking it down. Like I don't know what else I can say. I'm giving it. I just said that these the Vatican is under the same thing. A political unity, concurrently viewed, a state is a body politic possessing sovereignty. I don't know what else I can say. If I just said the religious laws trump, I just said it, with all respect. If a person is listening, they're like, damn, they like, the brother just said it. A politically unity, concretely viewed, a state is a body politic possessing sovereignty. Any body politic possessing sovereignty is entitled to be called a state. I mean, it's a good characteristic to describe the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. The people described in this state would be described as the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the members of the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, under what we authorize. By definition of a state, 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 the people described in the state will be described as the members of the BBT or the Moorish Science Temple. By definition of state, the fixed territory for our state would be northwest, southwest, northeast, and northwest America. The common law habits would be focused towards our practices in Chapter 32 of the Hurd-Smith Revised Status of the state of Illinois. See, I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about what the temple. I'm talking about the temple. The temple, what our prophet established, not no fascist group. I'm not with fascist groups. I don't even operate like that. I tell people I do things systematically. I clean things up, no matter if nobody like it or not. That's not my mission. I plant the seed, I'm gone, as the map and a guide. By definition of state, the character would have independent sovereignty. In our state is the holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. That's why I laugh at black Masons when they call themselves a widow's son. I'm like, oh, you lost. I said, yep, you're dealing with that fallacy again. Our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, is a true sovereign. The temple, the BBT, is a sovereign body. We are not sovereigns, but members of a sovereign body politic and corporate. In comparison with the term state, would you say, I was under the impression, even though you're saying that it doesn't hold in court, I apologize for my ignorance. You're not ignorant, brother. That's why I love school. If you were taking one of my college courses, you are not ignorant. You are what? We are inspired, and our inspiration can get us excited. You can be sincere, but we can be sincerely wrong. The science in it is when we accept the correctness. When you accept the correctnesses, that's how I know the light is there and our cup is halfway full. But when we don't accept the correctnesses from our brother that's coming in love, that's the ego. And that's what they've done to us. When you can't see your brother in that likeness, because we don't see ourselves in that likeness, we don't have to go outside ourselves. So I don't blame nothing on no ignorance. I look at your research and where you at with your wisdom, and you stand corrected from love. That's what we're here for. That's what school is for. If you was taking the test and you had some tutor and they told you 1 + 1 is 2, or you can skip Thursday to get to Friday, and I teach you the real history, you stand corrected. You weren't wrong. You may have been sincere, but you were sincerely wrong. So I give gratitude to your wisdom, Noble. I give gratitude to your level of understanding. I give gratitude to it. We are not sovereigns, but members of a sovereign body politic and corporate. In comparison with the term state, let's now define the term body politic. Body politic is defined as what? A social compact. A social compact by which the whole people covenant with each other, or with each citizen per se, and each citizen with the whole people, that all shall be governed by certain laws for the common good. Also a term applied to what? Here go the wisdom. A municipal, a corporation, a school district, a county, a city, a state, or public associations. You see how I'm easily clearing this up? When looking at the term government, we can see that this term has a connection with the term state. Body politic and body corporate and we can understand the similarities of these particular terms, nobles. Government derived from the Latin term gubernaculum, which is defined as the system of polity in the state, that form of fundamental rules and principles by which a nation or a state is governed. Now, polity is the form of government, whether theocracy, federal, anarchy. There are many forms of governments, but this particular form of government that the Moorish Science Temple of America is known as, and that the BBT is known as, theocracy. A theocracy is defined as a government of a state by the immediate direction of God or by the assumed direction of a superstitious divinity or the state that does govern. You see, as members of this body politic, we recognize the creator God Allah alone guides this divine and national movement. A theocratic entity differs from the form of a secular entity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, is a divine and national movement that has divine laws and holy laws that each member are to uphold and preserve if they are to earn the name of faithful afforded by Act 7 of the Moorish Divine Constitution and bylaws. That's why I be telling people, you can't make up this Moorish science as you go. It's going to be corrected. We have a divine creed. Anything can be looked up. I'll share it. The 1099 ain't no trust fund at the end of the rainbow. It's a religious affidavit. These sheiks been lying. So when I talk about a state, we almost there. It's like I've been doing a damn marathon. The origin of state, the Moorish Science Temple of America was established as a religious corporation. How? By filing the affidavit of organization. What affidavit of organization? The 1099. The 1010-5905, when these Negroes be acting like it's some get out of jail free card or some AA22 number, it's some trust fund. All stupid. It's a form 1099 recorded in the recorder of deeds office in the county of Cook, state of Illinois, on August 1st, 1928 AD at 2:52 p.m. At that time, through the affidavit, Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave birth to a free national government and an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate under the revised status of the state of Illinois, chapter 36, section 36. And when you see the science of that on July 20th, which is my Empress solar return, 1928 was on the third day of the beginning of a new moon during the sign of Virgo. August 1st, 1928 was the day of a full moon. I'm telling y'all, it's a lot. On July 20th, 1928, our prophet held a meeting, had the affidavit notarized, and recorded the affidavit on August 1st, 1928, 2:52 p.m. So the Hearst Smith Revised Status, Chapter 32, an act concerning corporations, Section 36, Religious Corporation Act, played a huge origin on establishing. So if any temple that's established, you ain't right. That's how I am the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. I've been through all the semantics. I'd have a school set up the right way. The BBT, the Moorish Science Temple of America, as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate. How can any subordinate temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America not operate under the Hearst Smith Revised Status of Chapter 2, Section 36? You see? You know? Because this act clearly states that any church, for my brothers and sisters that's confused, congregation, or society formed for the purpose of religious worship may become what? Incorporated in the matter by what? Never electing, because people be electing people of how they feel or popularity. No, we appoint off the wisdom according to its usages and customs at any meeting held for that purpose. You see, 2 or more trustees, warden, or vestrymen, or such officers whose powers and duties are similar to those of trustees, as shall be agreeable to the usage and the customs, rules and regulations of such congregation, church, or society, and may adopt, listen to this, a corporate name, and upon the filing of the affidavit, as hereinafter provided, it shall be and remain what? A body politic and corporate by the name so adopted. Look up PA 81-1509. Fact check me. We almost done. So you can see, when you study this Religious Corporation Act and glance at the affidavit of organization, which is the original form 9, you will see how our prophet followed the substantial form of the revised statute and then expressly organized an ecclesiastical body politic and a corporate known what? The Moorish Science Temple of America. By that name, so adopted. The simple understanding in this teaching is all the confusion and foolishness of those who say our prophet did not establish a nation state. They say we didn't establish a nation state at BBT. And I just broke it down for you. I know many conspirators' hearts are beating rapidly. So let's speed up the pace. Many people might ask, how was this body politic and corporate duly established? The answer is by filing in the county of Cook, recorder of deeds office, an affidavit substantially expressed by the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali himself, being the presiding officer, the same way I did the BBT. He swore, and I swore, that the meetings and the members was held. He stated facts of our power and authority and having the sheiks duly appointed, anointed, and consecrated. This instrument is well known as our authority, but is really titled the Affidavit of Organization. And by definition, an organization can include, and I quote, a wide range of entities, my brothers and sisters. An organization is defined as one, a corporation. A corporation. I told y'all, by definition, an organization can include a wide range of entities. Organization is defined as a corporation, a government, governmental subdivisions, agency, a trust, estate, partnership, or association, or two or more persons having a joint interest, or any other legal or commercial entity. I can go deeper in order to organize as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate at that time, a church, a society, or a congregation pursuant to the laws of the Herb Smith revised status of the state of Illinois. The affiant had to file in the office of the recorder of deeds. So I'm gonna stop right there. If people don't understand that little dilemma, then there's nothing I can tell us. That's why I tell people, I'm not here to have no pissing contest with no one, but it's already been done. All the stuff that people doing, they just regurgitating old energy, debating about things that can't be argued because law governs all events. And when we break it down in a whole nother demonstration from our manuscripts, law governs all events, is really nothing nobody can argue with. That ain't what I said. A lot of people be answering their own questions. So just because it's a corporation doesn't mean it can't be a sovereign nation. That ain't what I just said. That ain't what I said. I hope people understand it. You're not a sovereign citizen, but sovereign nation. A sovereign nation can do certain things. So to be considered a sovereign nation, it have to be some things you have to do. Yes, that's what I said. Yes. So then to be a sovereign nation, it has to be some contingency on you being a sovereign nation. It have to be some check marks. It can't be no asterisks on those things that relate to being a sovereign nation. We just can't say we're a sovereign nation based off this. And when it's being looked up, it's not done in that fashion. That's why I'll give another analogy. When we say sovereign nation, when I say the religious laws trump everything, I give a little tittle of wisdom. During the so-called COVID, when your job will tell you got to get the shot, and it was a government mandate. Well, your sovereign nation or your religious exempts trump all that. Will allow you don't have to get the shot because your religious exempt, the religious laws trump all that. Your sovereign nation, your religious laws trump all that. If a person understands what I'm saying, it's a language. It's just a language. When I'm telling people, I said, listen to the language. Every craft have a language. It have a language. And so we don't give up our religious rights and then try to say we're a sovereign nation because your religious rights trump anything that somebody can give to you. I break this down all day. The Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15. You have a right of a nationality and a right to change it. To claim a child replace a birth certificate. No one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality and a right to change it. When I talk about the religious rights of the indigenous people, when I talk about how during Revolution 75. So when we talk about these things, everything that I just said goes to your religious rights. I just broke this down. I just broke all this down. Corporate, principality, church. I just broke all these things down. And so then we should have a clear understanding. If we don't, all I can say is we need to come to class and learn. That's how. We must. Because we can't do nothing by ourselves. I keep explaining this to all my brothers and sisters. Everything has to be agreed on when we walk out the door. Well, how? Because it's easy to explain. If we don't agree, then you got to say why you don't agree. Just because you want to do your own thing, then that's not a sovereign nation. This stuff is so simple when you can teach it the right way. Because there's nothing wrong with a dumb question. When you set up the right way, then you operate. Just like you can look up Wilmington's white man constitution. When you look at things done a certain way to do things to a certain people that is not organized the right way, that call themselves synonymous to slaves, that don't understand their religious rights, that don't understand human rights. See what I'm talking about. And then see the power of what the prophet done. All Europeans know it, from Peter Moon, you know, from the brother that wrote the Moorish paradigm, you know, all these people that wrote about our prophet. So once again, come to class and learn. I've been going for a minute. Like I said, I'm out of here, and there's nothing else I can say. And I'll see y'all at 5. But please support our temple and school and deal with us. My moochies can share everything with y'all, and I love y'all. You know, yes, I will have to define all of the worlds separately first, you know. So I hope everybody had a great, learning experience, and I'll see y'all later on today when I make it back home. Peace.